Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps plays host to round number 1 of season 7 of the 60 plus racing adventures here live on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Coming up next, do not move a muscle. Green flag flies at the Circuit de la Sarthe for the greatest endurance race in the world, the Le Mans 24 Hours, but also in the Ardennes Forest, in the heart of Belgium at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for Season 7 of the 60-plus racing adventures. Bill Lawrence was the victor for Season 6 and comes into this season with his head held high, but can he defend his title this time around? Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the cameras for you today. And Tom, Season 6 was a blast. That surely means that Season 7 will be an explosion of excitement.
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? Season 6 was absolutely brilliant. I remember it was quite a long time ago, doesn't it now, Jack, that we're here for Season 6. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing how the guys can do. A few familiar faces here, Jos van der Ven, John Unsby and people like that, but a few new faces as well. So interested to see for tonight.
Qualifying is currently wrapping up, just another minute and a half to go in the 10-minute session. Each driver will get 2 laps to get their laps completed and times on the board. A couple of drivers, looks as though they still have one more lap to go. A couple of drivers out on track as well at the moment. But Tom, Spa is always a challenging circuit, and today we've got another challenge. We're using the classic pit. It's a formation that isn't used very often in the real world, but it means that Eau Rouge is the first corner, and there is surely going to be carnage.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? I don't know a championship on iRacing when Eau Rouge is the first corner there isn't carnage, but we haven't seen stuff like this since the 90s in F1. So interested to see for this circuit and see another guys get on tonight.
And obviously other challenging parts of the circuit, we have that long straight which the drivers need to be able to plan their entry into Le Mans. The draft is very important in this series and in this Pro Mazda, and especially as everyone is running the same setup, it means the drivers are all going to be, it's all about driver skill, Tom, and not how well the car is handling.
Yeah, it's not, is it? We see a lot in GT3 stuff that it's all down to the setup, so this really is down to driver talent. Feeling a few faces at the moment have been doing well in practice. We've even seen John Unsby in the 216s in practice. So especially for the Kemmel Straight and things like that, the guys will be using a lot of draft.
And well, qualifying is about to wrap up. Cars are going to be heading down to the starting grid, and we will take you down to your RaceSpotTV starting grid. Stephen Carter is going to be taking the first pole of Season 7, or 2 minutes 17.647. Jos van der Ven is going to be lining up alongside him on row number 1. Row number 2 is going to consist of John Unsby and Stephen Roastjam. Bill Lawrence, your Season 6 champion, is going to be lining up 5th. John Morgan in 6th. Row 4 is going to be the car of Mark Robson and Andrew Fiddler. Bruce Poole and Franz Brink are going to round out your top 10.
Gerard Florison takes 11th place. He'll be kicking himself a little bit for that after his good racing last season, so we have a lot of work to do. Bob Kern in 12th, Kenneth Baldwin in 13th, and Richard Kaloum, another fast driver, number 67 car, in 14th. Paul Hamilton in 15th, Gianni Rispaldo in 16th, Ralph Kammer in 17th. Your 111 car, Donald Fitterer, takes 18th, Joel Martin in 19th, and round out your top 20 here today at Spa is Mark Lyson.
Kenneth Drummer is going to be lining up 21st with Mike Taylor in 22nd. Brent McIntosh is going to be 23rd alongside David Riley in the 014. Paolo Bonacera in 25th. Michael Kay in 26th. Amigo De Pasqua in 27th. Alongside him, Richard Valley in 28th. William Casey is going to be the final spot on the grid. Well, just over 50 seconds until we get racing. Tom, and just before we get going, give us your final thoughts.
Final thoughts here. Everyone stay clean for Eau Rouge, please. I know it's going to be difficult, but good luck to everyone.
And well, in fact, green flag flies. We're away for race number 1. That was quicker than I expected. Looks as though your pole sitter is off to a good start. Stephen Cartner off. They're going to go side by side between John Unsby and the car of Bill Lawrence as well through Eau Rouge. John Unsby, Bill Lawrence are going to stay side by side as they come over the top through Radeon. They're going to be able to settle that out. Too wide, too deep, further behind. Everyone looks as though they got nice and clean through the start. Bob Kern might have had a few issues. He did. He went off wide, and it looks as though he had a bit of contact. But all in all, good start by everyone there, Tom.
Yeah, brilliant start. Jos van der Ven got a great run. Stephen Cartner having a little look up the inside into Le Combe, but Jos van der Ven makes a great charge off the line through Eau Rouge and then absolutely manages to do it. As we see further down the grid, Donald Fitterer is off in the 111 car. He won't have wanted that because he was doing so well last season, so a bad start for him in race 1, Jack.
Lawler scrapping down the rear of your field as well. Mark Lyson, he's had an awful run down the Kemmel Straight into Le Combe for the first time. He has dropped back a little bit further. We'll go and find out what happened to that car of, I believe that was, I'm not sure who it was, Tom. Misheard you?
That was the 111 car of Donald Fitterer, Jack.
111 of Don Fitterer, yes. He has gone back to the pit lane. He has looks as though he has called it a day already on race number 1. Early time to do it, and actually, in fact, he just went wider over the top of Radeon. And into the wall he went. Bob Kern as well. Race over for the number 6 machine. So that's 2 cars. We haven't even made it to Paul Freyer yet.
No, we haven't, have we? So it's already exciting straight off the bat. But looking a little bit further up the grid, John Unsby's dropped 2 places, and he seems to be losing a little bit of time to the front 4 guys. There's quite a good fight at the front. There's Jos van der Ven now, as having to start to defend against Stephen Cartner, who's right up in the draft. We said this at the start, Jack, as they've got a lot of draft coming up the straight, and Stephen Cartner looks like he's managed to go past as they go through Blanchemont there. Let's see what he can do up to the bus stop as he comes under a little bit of pressure from Stefan Rosgen. He's looking right. Oh, gets a bend on the curb. But no, he manages to make it stick and keep it all together. Stephen Cartner takes the lead after lap 1, Jack.
John Morgan, was that John Morgan? I think that might have been John Unsby in the number 61 machine. Just went for the move of the century. He had an awful first lap, was down 2 positions coming into the bus stop that time. And he managed to get himself past Bill Lawrence around the outside. Not a move you usually see. John Morgan as well, trying to go around the outside. He's got a bit of pressure from the inside of, it looks like Andrew Fidler and the 101 machine. They're going to go side by side down into Eau Rouge. We've got the number 610 of Mark Lyson stopped at the bus stop. Tom, hopefully you can go and find what's happened. They're going to go side by side into turn number 1, Eau Rouge for the second time. Andrew Fidler, John Morgan side by side, still side by side. No contact here. Here comes the number 43, Mark Robinson, wanting to get in on this.
Yeah, he's doing really, really well, isn't he? Fighting hard at the moment.
Robertson's off. Oh, sorry, Tom Robertson's off. They're going to go side by side again. Andrew Fidler going to try and go up the inside into Le Combe. Is he going to make the move? Stickless as though Jos van der Ven as well has managed to get it back into the lead. Stephen Cutler's down to 3rd. He's lost 2 positions there, but Andrew Fidler, John Morgan, they're in contact, and it looks as though John Morgan almost collecting the number 43 as well as Mark Robertson, but they're both going to be in the gravel on the exit of turn number 5, turn number 6, that complex, and it just looks as though day is over both of them, and in fact there is a car in the gravel as well there, Tom.
Yeah, that looks to be John Morgan in the gravel, but Andrew Fidler ended up in the gravel trap there as well, but he's managed to keep the car going, although he has fallen a little bit further down the grid now, so he's going to have to do some work to carry on as he's going. But as we look a little bit further up the grid, John Unsby is really starting to hang on now to these front 3 guys. Jos van der Ven having to defend like the true champion that he is. We know how fast this guy can be around Spa, so he's going to be coming under massive pressure from Stefan Rosgen, John Unsby, and the rest of those guys, including Stephen Cartner.
Also involved in that incident, turn number 6 was Gerard Ferguson, David Riley, and also Kenneth Baldwin. Kenneth Baldwin has carried on by the looks of it, but he is going to have extensive damage on that number 19. The number 7 of Jared Bruce is out, and David Roy looks as though he has got back going again, Tom. So not the start of the race that we wanted to see. The battle back up the front. Jos van der Ven versus Stephen Roche versus Stephen Kartner. Kartner currently sitting in third. John Hunsby behind in fourth, but in fact, Roshan's going to lose second place, and Kartner's going to try and go for the lead. Jos van der Ven is going to have to defend through the bus stop this time. Kartner looks like he's held it, but Roshan looks like he might have a little bit of an undercut, and John Hunsby wants in on this as well.
Yeah, John Hunsby's fighting hard, isn't he? He's a really, really quick driver around here. These front four guys, as we saw last season, Jack, tend to be the fastest guys around here. Stephen Kartner takes a very deep line there into La Source. So Stefan Roshan now is going to be tucking in behind Stephen Kartner as much as he can, although he's coming under pressure from John Hunsby as John Hunsby looks to the left as they come up for Eau Rouge, but he backs off a little bit. A wise move, I think, there, Jack, considering how fast this corner really is.
That is a wise move there from John Hunsby. You do not want to go side by side through that corner. Although John Hunsby, that has meant that Bill Lawrence is now going to be able to go side by side with him. Side by side, too wide, too deep. Jos van der Ven still going to hold the lead. Roshan Kark, now that's going on ahead. It looks as though Kartner's just going to be able to hold second. John Hunsby's got the favourable line into Lecombe this time, and he is going to be able to hold off Bill Lawrence in the 17 machine. Bill Lawrence is obviously the reigning champion. He's going to want to get as many points here today. Roshan off wide, almost losing the control of that number 60 machine. He's managed to keep it on the black stuff where he needs it, Tom. But John Hunsby is looking like someone we need to watch throughout this race. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's just biding his time, isn't he? And we've seen this time and time again from John Hunsby. He's so quick, but he doesn't like to take risks. And you can't really blame him in these open-seater cars, because anything can happen, as we know. So, as we've seen from John Hunsby in the past, especially at Laguna Seca last season, he is the man to make a one-move dive, even in the last corner. So, looking a little bit further down the grid there, Bruce Paul has made a move on Franz Brink, and he takes sixth position.
He has indeed. So Franz Brink is going to be moving himself up the field. He has got a little bit of a gap ahead of him to Bill Lawrence. It's around 3 seconds. So he could close that gap, don't forget. This is a long race. 17 laps or 45 minutes, whichever one comes first. Should be around half an hour race length. And of course, after this race, do not go anywhere. We will have a short break, and then we'll be back for race number 2. Same conditions, same cars, same track, same commentators, and it will be the same amount of action. But Stephen Roshan battle for the lead. In fact, Stephen Kartner, Jos van der Ven going to go side by side into the bus stop this time. Under the Bridgestone Bridge they come. And down into the bus stop. Has Stephen Kartner got the overrun he needs? No, he's going to go deep. Roshan going to go around the outside. I think he might be able to hold, but John Hunsby, no. In fact, Kartner's going to hold. Hunsby's now got a moment or chance because Roshan got sideways. Are we going to see 3 wide into La Source this time to finish off lap number 3? I don't think we are. Roshan's just going to succumb to John Hunsby's pressure. Hunsby moves himself up into 4th, and that leaves Roshan in the clutches of Bill Lawrence.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So this is all starting to move about, a little bit of argy-bargy at the front, as we can see, Jack. But this is good for Jos van der Ven. He's going to be looking in his mirrors of that car, thinking to himself, these guys are all fighting at the moment, so I've got a little bit of clean air. But the problem with that is he isn't getting a draft up the straights. But as we see, Stephen Kartner now coming under pressure from John Hunsby. John Hunsby in the 61 car. Can he make this move done? Didn't get the best of starts. Looks to the outside, coming towards Lecombe, at the moment. Can he get it done? I think he's going to. He goes late on the brakes, does John Hunsby. Gets a little bit too wide. One on the grass. Stephen Kartner takes advantage, goes out wide and keeps his place in second place. A brilliant move there from Stephen Kartner and taking advantage of John Hunsby's mistake, Jack.
Battle for P number 10, as well, between the number 67 and the number 48 of Richard Coulomb and Gianni Raspaldo. Richard Coulomb is managing to hold off Gianni. Gianni almost had a run into Lecombe this time. Wasn't able to make the move stick. Bit of side-by-side ahead. Bruce Paul has managed to get his way past Franz Brink once again. And the gap between Bruce Paul and Bill Lawrence has slowly come down. This lead train is actually losing time to the drivers behind them, Tom, because they're defending so much and their lap times are so much slower. Fastest laps so far of the race is going to go to Bill Lawrence in 5th position at 2 minutes 17.830.
Yeah, good job from Bill Lawrence there. He really is keeping this pack, and that's why he proved that he deserves to be champion in this series, as he was last season. So Jos van der Ven, though, is still keeping that gap to Stephen Kartner at the moment. So I'm interested to see how this one plays out, Jack, looking towards the end of the race. But Gianni Raspaldo as well, he's keeping his eye on Richard Coulomb in front, not really losing any time to him and Paul Hamilton. So another little battle there going on for 9th position.
Yeah, battles up and down your field at the moment. My timing screen is full of red boxes, which shows me where the battles are. My timing is obviously, of course, by Joel Real Timing. Quick shout out to him. Great lap that he makes. Battle for the lead. Jos van der Ven, Steven Kartner. Steven Kartner is going to be wanting to get back up into that first position, which is where he started. We know he has the pace around Spa, and Jos van der Ven as well. He's doing a brilliant job of holding that lead. Usually, you do not see a lead held for this long, especially on a draft circuit like this, Tom. In these cars, Steven Kartner, though, is closer this time, within around half a second. He could, if he gets a good run through a Rouge, make a bit of a challenge in Le Combe. There is also traffic up ahead, which could play into this battle.
Yeah, it could, couldn't it? So Jos van der Ven will be looking forward as he looks at the back markers coming up and making sure that he's got to get that done. But Steven Kartner, what a draft! Looks to the outside. That just goes to show how much these cars use slipstream, Jack. And it's just like Jos van der Ven was standing still. He came from so far back, and Jos van der Ven yields the position, and Steven Kartner takes your lead going into Le Combe there.
He doesn't even need to try. That pass was effortless. Steven Kartner moved himself up into the lead. At least Jos van der Ven in the clutches of John Unsby, Stephen Roesgen, Bill Lawrence. They are still on this group, but they are not putting as much pressure on as they need to. It is a long race after all.
Yeah, it is a long race, and these guys don't want to ruin it by making a mistake early on. But Steven Kartner now knows that he's got to really put pedal to the metal, really push hard and make sure that he can get that gap as big as he can from Jos van der Ven. He doesn't want to get caught in that slipstream further on in the race. Stefan Roesgen, though, keeping hold of this pack in front. Obviously, we've got Jos van der Ven, Steven Kartner and John Unsby really fighting hard at the moment. So these guys, he needs to make sure that he keeps on with this pack. He doesn't want to lose sight of what he can. You know, it really could be his win here today, Jack, with Stefan Roesgen being on the back of these front four.
Stefan Roesgen is always a fast driver. He was a name that popped up, I believe, in Season 5, Week 12 at Snetterton. If you can remember back that far, he dominated around in Season 5, and ever since, he has been a name to watch out for in this series. Obviously, the 60-plus racing adventures, it's pretty clear by the name who drives in this series. It's drivers who are slightly older of age. In over 60s. They do have a Super 70s championship as well for everyone who's over the age of 70. So the guys who are a little bit older, a little bit slower reaction times, even have a place to fight for themselves. Although they are usually the guys we see up at the front. Coming down into La Source this time, John Unsby has managed to catch up to the back of Jos van der Ven, Tom. He's right on the tailpipe heading down to a Rouge. If he gets this right, he's got a good pass into the second. Could even get a double draft, slingshot himself into the lead.
Yeah, he could do, couldn't he? So this really is still anyone's to play for at the moment, Jack. John Unsby as well. He's going to be caught up in the middle of that, as well as Jos van der Ven. So here we go then, down the Camel Straight. And you can even see from Stefan Roesgen's car just how much this slipstream is really starting to pull him in now as he gets onto the back of John Unsby and Jos van der Ven. John Unsby looking very quick as Jos van der Ven moves to the right, goes defensive. Gets quite close there to the rear end of Steven Kartner as they come up to a back marker, but no movers and shakers on that one, Jack, through the Camel Straight. But the guy's still fighting really hard here at Spa.
Speaking of movers and shakers, the biggest mover and shaker so far in your field is down in 12th position. Ramigo de Pasqua, he started 27th position. He's now 12th. He's now 12th. He's up 15 positions, Tom. He's had a good run. Paolo Bonacero down into the pit lane. And fastest lap, still with Bill Lawrence, although it has come down to a 16.7. Bit of lap traffic on the inside. That is going to be the car of Joel Martin. And in fact, I believe there might have been a little bit of contact between those two, between Bill Lawrence and Joel Martin. Joel Martin just looks as though he might have gotten the inside. I think Bill Lawrence, though, was just trying to avoid an incident, and good avoiding through Pouan.
Yeah, that would have been scary for him. I don't think they quite touched, but it did get very close there between the back marker there and Bill Lawrence. Unfortunately for Bill Lawrence, that has cost him a little bit of time, but that is racing. I'm sure he'll make it back as they come up towards the bus stop. If you look a little bit further up the grid, I mean, I know Bill Lawrence is part of this pack, but Stefan Roesgen as well is still holding on. But as we can see, Jos van der Ven really tucked in behind Steven Kartner now as they come up towards Blanchimont. Goes a little bit left, looks this way and that way. Let's see what he can do here. So they're coming up to the bus stop, pushing really hard. Goes out to the left. Is he close enough? I don't think he is. John Unsby comes sweeping in, has a little look up the inside, doesn't quite make it stick, Jack. So really working hard for him there. And these guys, it really is anyone's race.
John Unsby is awesome onto the break into the bus stop. He's shown that most laps, and in fact, he's going to try and look down the inside of Jos van der Ven. Not going to be able to get the move done by the looks of it. Just coming down into La Source for the 6th time. Still 11 laps remaining in this race. A long way to go. Anything can happen. In fact, it's still 77 kilometers. And when you think of it that way, that's a long way, Tom.
It is a long way, isn't it? But as we've seen before, Spa is a long lap. As Jos van der Ven then gets up behind Stephen Kartner, looks around to the right. John Unsby, what a slingshot, going 3 wide now up towards Lecombe. John Unsby, what a guy, straight through the middle as we see there. Fantastic race toward the Kemmel Straight. Can he make it stick? Yes, he has. So Stephen Kartner there loses 2 places down the Kemmel Straight. That drafting was absolutely brilliant by John Unsby. A fantastic move there, reminiscent of we saw Schumacher and Hackett around the back marker in 1999. So great driving from John Unsby there, Jack.
A little bit out of my lifespan that one, but awesome driving by John Unsby. He saw the gap and he just took it to advantage. Those 2 drivers could have closed the gap. It would have been a bit of an awful move to make, and I have seen it happen before, but John Unsby using it to advantage. Through the middle he goes and up into the lead. Stephen Cotton's got a little bit of work to do now to get back up towards the front, and Stephen Rostian, another driver as well, who's going to be looking forward a little bit, watching these guys scrapping, hopefully trying to make up any positions he can if one of them goes off. Jos van der Ven is looking to get past Stephen Kartner once again to try and get up into the lead. He wants to keep that lead as long as he can, but Stephen Kartner, he's just got to be fuming at the moment.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He would have seen them coming up in his rear view mirror and would have decided to try and defend. But he couldn't have defended too hard because he could have had the option that he could have had an incident with Jos van der Ven. Speaking of which, he goes round the outside, coming up towards Blanchimont on John Unsby. John Unsby goes to defend. Stephen Kartner coming up really hot now, has to let off the gas in case he ends up having a collision with these 2. And it looks like Jos van der Ven's got it done into the bus stop. But as we know, John Unsby is a fantastic guy on the brakes, although he backs out on this one. And I think a wise move there, Jack, as Stephen Kartner has a little bit of look up the inside of John Unsby, but doesn't quite get it done. So Jos van der Ven is now your race leader.
He is indeed, and Stephen Kartner, you can tell how much he's trying to push to get past that number 61 machine of John Unsby, and of course he just cannot get the move done, and I think that's going to be important, Tom, because he needs to get it done. Although, don't forget, it's the driver who wins is the person who crosses the line first, and not the person in the lead coming out in the final corner. Don't forget, they can change positions. If someone gets a bad run out of the final corner, and of course, cast your mind back 13 weeks ago. Christ, that sounds like a long time. John Unsby, in fact, going to go side by side with Jos van der Ven. Good run out of the top of Eau Rouge, and slingshots himself past. And of course, no one will forget the final lap incident between these guys, between the leaders. And in fact, they're going to try and go. Are they going to go 3 wide into Lecombe? No, they're not. Stephen Kartner late on the brakes, up the inside, up into P1.
Yeah, brilliant move there by Stephen Kartner. I didn't actually believe he was going to make that stick then, but he is hungry. He's hungry for this win. As we can see, he dived it up the inside really late on the brakes, managed to make it stick, got a little bit of a twitch as he came into Lecombe there on the apex, but as I say, managed to make it stick, Jack, and now he is your P1.
He is your P1, and in fact, he's already got a 6/10 lead over John Unsby. Jos van der Ven this time. Oh, actually, no. Stephen Rostian's got up into 3rd, Tom. I'm not sure what happened there. Jos van der Ven must have had an awful run somewhere. He did indeed. He had an awful run through Lecombe, and Stephen Rostian just took advantage of that one. He moves himself up into P3 now. He is a big name to watch.
Yeah, he is a big name to watch. Stefan Rostian, always one of the quiet guys, but he's really starting to push hard. Bill Lawrence does a massive dive there on Jos van der Ven. He is really, really hungry for this, and he knows that he can catch the likes of Stefan Rostian and Jos van der Ven because he's beaten them before. So Jos van der Ven now is starting to lose a little bit of time to Stefan Rostian. There is a gap forming there. So he's going to be thinking to himself, I need to maybe get in the draft these guys going along the Kemmel Straight and on our way up to the bus stop. Doesn't seem to be any movers at the moment coming towards the bus stop though, but John Unsby still looking into the draft of Stephen Kartner, but he's a little bit too far back this time, Jack, coming into the bus stop to get the move done.
Yeah, I think that would have been a very optimistic move into the bus stop this time for John Unsby. I don't think he'd have got the move done, and Unsby is a driver who, he does like to put a little bit of pressure on the drivers ahead, but he always keeps it nice and clean. Stephen Kartner is going to be leading across the line this time, but Stefan Rostian is now going to be brought into the equation of this lead battle. And as we've seen, the last 2 laps, the driver in 3rd has been the driver ending up in 1st at the end of the lap, Tom. Do you reckon Stephen can get it done?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he's got the know-how and the ability to get it done. He's going to be looking onto the back of John Unsby and Stephen Cartner, though, as John Unsby manages to put it on the outside. They are now too wide going at the Kemble Straight. John Unsby, though, gets it done. But Stefan Rosen, as we were saying, Jack, he's got that draft again, and he's managed to put it up alongside Stephen Cartner, going into Le Combe now, but he backs out, which is, I think, is a wise move, is because it ruined the rest of his race. What that has done, that's brought Jos van der Ven and Bill Lawrence back into the picture now.
Kenneth Dummer has had a little bit of a spin out of the bus stop. He is going again. No one else involved in that one. Going back to your lead battle, John Unsby, of course, he is in the lead. Stephen Cartner in second position, but he is challenging hard. Coming down to no name for the fifth time. Or ninth time, sorry. We are now at the halfway stage of race number 1. Stephen Cartner looking to challenge. Is he going to look outside, inside, outside, inside? Not into Pouon, of course, because that is such a difficult corner. 2 wheels on the gravel there, Tom. You don't want to hit that very hard, especially in one of these downforce cars. Instead of that downforce, you're going to be in a wall.
Yeah, you definitely are. And we saw it so many times in Laguna Seca, didn't we? I think it was turn 10 coming up towards the corkscrew, Jack. The cars, if they get one wheel on the dirt or on the grass or the AstroTurf, it just spells goodbye for them, just because of the amount of mechanical grip that these cars seem to have. As Bill Lawrence there goes quite wide, coming out of Stavelo, I believe it was, as they do their run onto Blanchimont. So that's cost him a little bit more time. So he's going to start to get a little bit worried in that Pro Mazda, I think, at the moment. As we look forward, John Unsby coming under pressure now from Stephen Cartner. Stephen Cartner looks around the outside through Blanchimont. This is going to be a brave move here. John Unsby gives him plenty of room, though, which is good racing, but this lets Stefan Rosen start to close up on them now, and I think Stephen Cartner's possibly got this done as they come into the bus stop. John Unsby late on the brakes, but so is Stephen Cartner. Stephen Cartner gets the move done into the bus stop, Jack, and I think at the moment this really is anyone's guess for who's going to take that checkered flag.
Anyone can take it throughout this 29 or 27 car field who's left running. Joel Martin is 1 lap down, making it a 28 car field. Bob Kern, by the looks of it, is your only retirement so far. The cars who were involved in earlier incidents are back out and running. But Stephen Cartner is going to be taking the lead, getting very close to that inside wall on the run down to Eau Rouge. Now coming on to lap number 10 into double digits up through Eau Rouge. Flat all the way. The Pro Mazda does lose about 10 kilometers coming up there, but it's not as difficult as driving something like a GT3 car up there, Tom, where to run it flat, you really have to have the setup up well. Stephen Cartner going to defend the inside. John Unsby ran to the outside. There we're seeing 2 wide, 2 deep. Look at Jos van der Ven from 4th. Going to make it 3 wide into Le Combe. I think John Unsby going to hold it, but Jos van der Ven has gone from 4th to 2nd there, Tom.
Yeah, brilliant move by him. He's really pushing hard, isn't he? Stephen Cartner down in 3rd, didn't know what to do, didn't know where he was coming from, and now John Unsby's coming under a lot of pressure now from Jos van der Ven. Stefan Rosen in this pack, and this has brought Bill Lawrence back into place. So this really is, we're back to a 5-way battle now at the front, and these guys are going to be pushing really, really hard, because we're coming about up to the halfway stage. We're over the halfway stage now, but at the moment the tyres are going to start going off and the cars are going to become lighter on fuel. So this really is the time now to really get your foot down and really get into that tunnel vision that Senna always talked about, and make that win happen.
No thinking about what you're going to be having for dinner, boys. You want to be thinking about that checkered flag and who's going to take it first. At the moment, that lies with John Unsby, but it won't be that way in half a lap or even a lap's time, because of how often we see it changing, especially at a big draft circuit. Of course, 3 wide, that's the first time we've seen that so far today, Tom, but it won't be the last.
No, it definitely won't be. These guys really know how to race. The 60 Plus series is always one of my favourites, and I absolutely love commentating on it. It's brilliant racing here. As Jos van der Ven backs off a little bit, I think, through Blanchimont coming on to John Unsby, but that gives Stephen Cartner the excuse to put it 2 wide, and I think they might even go 3 wide here. No, they don't. But Stephen Cartner goes late on the brakes. Jos van der Ven sticks out the inside still, but he seems to have lost the place, and they've touched! So Stephen Cartner takes out John Unsby, and that's a huge crash there. That's really upset proceedings at the moment. The guys all get going again, but we don't know what damage has happened. Bill Lawrence managed to avoid it, and Stefan Rosen managed to get out of it rather quickly as well. So now we've got another player who's come into this now, and I believe that's one of the back markers, actually. So I'm not sure what happened there. I think one of the cars just got a little bit loose. We see John Unsby spun again. It's cost Bill Lawrence a bit of time as well, so I think we've got unseen damage to these cars, Jack, as Stefan Rosen pits.
Yeah, it just looks as though Stefan Rosen's come down onto the lane. John Unsby and Bill Lawrence have followed him. Jos van der Ven has kept that number 167 machine going. Looks as though his damage... Oh, he has got damage to the front wing, which is going to affect him. And look at the gaggle of cars behind him, Tom. They are going to be Joel Martin, who is a back marker. Stephen Cartner has carried on, but that's left him in the clutches of Kenneth Baldwin, Bruce Paul. Now, these guys are about 5 seconds back, and in fact, they're going to go side by side into Lacombe. Number 10 machine not going to be able to get the move done around the outside of John Martin. Kenneth Baldwin is going to go. And in fact, actually, these guys are about 6, 7, 8 seconds behind the lead battle, Tom. And now they've got a chance at winning this race because of what we've just seen.
Yeah, it just reminded me of Macau GT3. Everyone just piled into each other. I don't know. It's good that the guys all got going, but obviously the main runners now are all going to have some damage, so that they will have pitted. But it's good for the likes of Kenneth Baldwin, Bruce Paul, Franz Brink, and everyone else like that. It's brought them all into play. I think Stefan Rosgen has got. He's come out of the pit now as he comes down the Kemmel Straight, so he's going to be quite far behind Jack, and he'll be kicking himself for getting involved in that scrap there.
Yeah, also Ralph Kemmerer is going to be off through Lacombe. He is going again. Car just looks like it has a little bit of damage on it. Oh, actually, he's spanned through Malmedy, collected another car. That was the car ahead of Stephen Rosgen. Going to find out who that was for you, and I think he might have already gone back to the pit lane, in fact. So, another incident out on the circuit, but good to see Stephen Rosgen running again. Bill Lawrence is back out onto the track, and the third driver to hit, which was, can't remember, John Unsby is also back on track. So everyone back out, but Jos van der Ven still leading this race from Stephen Cartner. But Bruce Paul is not far behind, and in fact, Kenneth Baldwin is even closer.
Yeah, so it's really bringing in a couple of the guys that we see sometimes at the front, sometimes midfield, but it's bringing them into play. It's what they would have been hoping for. They would have been biding their time and thinking to the guys in front, they're about 5 seconds ahead. You know, if we get a mistake, we can really make this count. Stephen Cartner, though, bringing Jos van der Ven under quite a bit of pressure. So I don't know whether Jos van der Ven's got any sort of damage, Jack, possibly to the floor, do you think, to maybe slow him down a bit on the straights?
That would make sense, but I have seen front wing damage for Jos van der Ven. That would explain it slightly better on why he is slower down the straights, coming for a rouge. This is going to be the first indication of how slow those two drivers ahead as they go side by side are compared to Kenneth Baldwin. Still going to stay side by side. And in fact, Kenneth Baldwin, look at that, Tom. The closing speed is so clear. He's not close enough to get side by side. Stephen Cartner is going to take the race lead. Nice on chop pass, a nice and easy pass around at Jos van der Ven. But Kenneth Baldwin, that closing speed, Tom, is very, very clear.
Yeah, that just shows us that these guys have got damage at the front. Jos van der Ven has got front wing damage, as we've seen, and he's just got to make sure that he can get as much points as he possibly can, even though he's coming under pressure from Kenneth Baldwin at the moment, which is going to be a bit of a problem for him, because Bruce Paul as well, although he's dropped back a little bit, he'll be coming under pressure from Franz Brink. But as we say, the guys at the front, Stephen Cartner, now out in the lead, is going to be pushing really, really hard now, because he knows that Jos van der Ven's got damage. And Stephen Cartner, Jack, seems to have come away a lot lighter than Jos van der Ven has done in terms of top speed.
He does. He has indeed. I think Jos van der Ven is struggling in the 167 compared to the 75 Stephen Cartner, and I wouldn't be surprised. Kenneth Baldwin, though, is someone who is going to be making himself. He's currently sitting in third, but he can get higher up the grid. Bruce Paul as well is not far behind. Would be good to see one of those two take a win in this series. It's not a name we usually see, even on the podium. So to see these guys up there, even if they are taking advantage of other people's misfortune, it's great to see.
Yeah, it is great to see, isn't it? And I always like to support an underdog, even though I'm a massive Schumacher fan. But when it comes to most other series, I'll normally take the underdog as Jos van der Ven tries to get into the slipstream of Stephen Cartner, but can't seem to make it stick. He has a little bit of a look up the inside and can't actually get it done. Stephen Cartner goes very, very deep into the bus stop. But this really has brought Kenneth Baldwin, who gets a little bit out of step on the way out the bus stop, into play, Jack.
Yeah, it has, and it's just brought this pack closer together. Franz Brink is also on the back of this. Your top five coming by 3 seconds. Bruce Paul looking like he's going to try and get a move down on Kenneth Baldwin, but Kenneth Baldwin is looking like he's a little bit closer to Jos van der Ven, and it's going to take a little bit more to see what's going to happen to these guys. Is Kenneth Baldwin going to be able to get past? Don't forget, Jos van der Ven does have front wing damage. That's going to affect him up for a rouge and down the straights. But look at that. Number 10 of Bruce Paul getting a good run. He's going to go side by side with 19 of Kenneth Baldwin. Can he get the move done? I think he might be able to. They're going to go 2 wide, 2 deep. Jos van der Ven down to the inside. Can they make it 3 wide into Lacombe? I think Kenneth Baldwin wants to try, but I don't think he will. Bruce Paul up into third. Jos van der Ven going to take the lead. And in fact, actually, Bruce Paul might now lose his position to Gianni Raspada, Franz Brink, who's now been brought back into this.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? So Franz Brink now, with we've seen him a few times up the front, Jack, but not too often, and he's been biding his time and thinks he saw that incident in front, and now he's thinking to himself, you know, I could actually make this happen. I could be part of this front 5 trio as long as he manages to keep with these guys. Bruce Poole falling back a little bit now, but Kenneth Baldwin really piling the pressure as Stephen Cartner tries to have a little look at the inside through Pouon, doesn't make it stick. So Jos van der Ven having to defend for his life now, Jack, with a damaged car.
Yeah, and that damage is definitely going to be not helping him at all. Jos van der Ven, he has held the lead for now, but in fact Stephen Cartner is going to be trying. But Kenneth Baldwin, he has got the best car out of your top 3, and he is going to be trying to battle. In fact, actually, Stephen Cartner through Paul Frere, getting far too close for comfort to the tailpipe of Jos van der Ven. He's going to be right on the back of him, coming up into Blanchismont. This time they're going to go side by side, coming under the DHL bridge, and I think he might have this move done. But look at the overspeed that now number 19 machine has. He might be able to get a move done. In fact, he's going to have to back off. He's going to let Bruce Poole have a look down to the inside. Still side by side for the lead as they come up to the bus stop this time, Tom. I think Stephen Cartner might have it, but is Kenneth Baldwin going to be able to get his way past and actually start challenging? And in fact, Franz Brink wants some of this as well.
Yeah, so these guys really fighting hard now. This is why we love this series, and I hope you guys are enjoying at home. It's absolutely brilliant to watch. Franz Brink there, he's really hotting up, isn't he? He's thinking to himself, you know, I really could win this. Bruce, although he's sticking with the guys as well, and Kenneth Baldwin, he's right out there with them. So their lap times seem to be consistent with one another. As we come up to Eau Rouge now and across the line, Jos van der Ven is still in the lead, but he's coming under quite a lot of pressure from Stephen Cartner as they go up through Eau Rouge now. Stephen Cartner, he got a good run through there. He's right up on the gearbox of Jos van der Ven. Looks to the left, that little rotary engine absolutely screaming as they come down the Camel Straight. As we see Kenneth Baldwin now, he's got that draft as well. Bruce Poole having a look as he puts it 3 wide. Kenneth Baldwin puts it 3 wide as they come up to the com now, looking onto the inside. Is he going to go late on the brakes? Yes, he does, but he can't make it stick just quite now, as Jos van der Ven is the one that misses out there. And Kenneth Baldwin up into 2nd place, Jack. A great drive from him so far.
It is indeed. Kenneth Baldwin is going to want to go one further and get that lead off of Stephen Cartner. Stephen Cartner does have a little bit of damage. Do not forget, from that incident, he has front left wing damage in the number 75 machine, so that is going to play into the number 19 machine's hands quite well. Jos van der Ven as well has front right hand damage on that front wing, which is of course going to play into the guys behind him. Bruce Poole, Franz Brink. And in fact, actually, Franz Brink has managed to get his way past Bruce Poole now, Tom, up into 4th position.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? So Franz Brink having a brilliant right drive as well. And I'll tell you who else is actually, he's not on the back of these guys, but he's up into 6th position, is Gianni Rispaldo. And I was interested to see in qualifying that he didn't have the best qualifying apart from what we've seen from him in the last season. So he's now starting to make his move. Started 16th and is up to 6th. So a good drive from him there, Jack. Yeah,
brilliant drive from Gianni. He is up 10 positions, of course. Ramigo de Pasqua, though, up 19 positions. He is your biggest mover and shaker so far, and he's moved himself from 27th position to 8th position. He is 4 seconds behind the driver of Richard Coulomb, though, so I don't think he's going to move any further with just 3 laps remaining in this motor race. But Stephen Cartner is going to be holding the lead, but Kenneth Baldwin going to be looking down to the inside. Jos van der Ven deep on the brakes, not going to be able to get any moves done. Franz Brink is going to want to get himself up into the podium as well, and in fact, actually, Stephen Cartner going to get loose out of the bus stop chicane, spinning up those rear wheels a little bit too much, Tom, and he has dropped down to 5th position. This lead battle is now 4 cars, with Kenneth Baldwin taking the lead.
Yeah, Kenneth Baldwin taking the lead, and he's going to damage Jos van der Ven in that Pro Mazda behind him in the number 167 car. So Kenneth Baldwin, let's see what he can do here. A name that we don't normally see right at the front, pushing really, really hard. He started 13th, and now he's in 1st place, Jack. But as we come along to the Camel Straight, looks like Jos van der Ven's right in that slipstream, even though that front wing's going to be hurting him. Another Dutchman with a dodgy front wing, as we saw in Max Verstappen in Barcelona. Jos van der Ven looks to the inside. Bruce Poole now having a little look as well as he backs off, though. He doesn't want to get too involved in this and end up ruining his race. So Jos van der Ven looks up the inside. Does he make the move stick? Yes, he does. Not quite. Kenneth Baldwin out on the grass, pushes Jos van der Ven out wide, and Jos van der Ven gets the position done. So now, and also into 3rd place goes Bruce Poole as well, ahead of Franz Brink.
He does, but Franz Brink is going to try and fight back in the 53. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done through Rivage this time. So Bruce Poole up into position number 3. Can I just point out something, Tom? Franz Brink and Bruce Poole finishes 9th, or started 9th and 10th. They're now fighting for a podium. That's brilliant from them. Kenneth Baldwin started 13th and he's now in second.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic driving from those guys. I wish I could do the same in GT3. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant racing. It'll teach these guys who are normally midfield of the pack a lot more about their racecraft and being quite at the front of the grid at the moment as they follow Jos van der Ven through the remainder of this lap. So it really is a brilliant race so far. Stephen Cartner, though, don't count him out, Jack, because even though he had that little spin, he's right on the back of Bruce Paul now.
He is, and in fact, actually, he's looking to get alongside Bruce Paul up into Blanchimont this time. Don't think he's going to be able to get the move to stick, because obviously it is a tough move to make, Tom. Blanchimont is one of those corners where if you go too wide, you have to be very careful. If you get it wide and hit the bump, you are going to be in that inside wall, and that inside wall is not very inviting. Or you could be on the outside wall, where a safety car ended up, if I remember rightly, in the Dutch Supercar Championship a couple of years ago. Bruce Paul down to the inside and into the bus stop, not going to be able to make the move stick. Stephen Cartner, though, has made his way up into P number 4, now battling for position number 3 with Bruce Paul. But your leader at the moment is Jos van der Ven with that damaged front wing. I don't think the damaged front wing is stopping Jos van der Ven and Stephen Cartner at the moment, Tom. They're still showing good speed.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? And Jos van der Ven is putting on a really good defence at the moment from Kenneth Baldwin. So Kenneth has got it's starting to become race critical now. I know he's up with the front runner of Jos van der Ven. But he's still going to have to push really, really hard to try and catch him, because we know that Jos van der Ven is a really, really quick driver down here, and he gets right up in the slipstream coming up the Kenmore Straight. He won't be looking at those trees, won't be looking left or right, he'll be tightening those harnesses, looks out to the left, and looks like he's managed to get that move done. So that front wing is really, really starting to hurt at the moment, really starting to hurt Jos van der Ven, Jack. And Kenneth Baldwin, if he can hold it all together, I've got to say, he could take the win away here.
He could, because Jos van der Ven is going to be holding up the guys behind him. And to hold up the guys behind him, that is going to help Kenneth Baldwin get away, get that gap he needs. As soon as he can get about a 1 second gap, I don't think anyone's going to be close enough to get a lunge. The draft is obviously going to be strong, but obviously it's a case of if he's quick through the corners, which Jos van der Ven and Stephen Cartner won't be, it's going to be interesting to see who will come out on top. The number 75 machine of Stephen Cartner as well. He's currently sitting about 5th at the back of this pack, Tom. Franz Brink ahead of him, but Bruce Paul going to now be looking at Jos van der Ven and taking advantage of that damaged wing.
Yeah, he is going to, isn't he? Because Kenneth Baldwin now needs to pull out the biggest gap that he possibly can from these guys. As we see there, Bruce Paul are getting a little bit out of shape now as they come towards Stavelot and Paul Frere. So he's going to have to push really, really hard and try and make these gaps stick as much as they can. As we see behind him, Stephen Cartner now right on the back end of Franz Brink as they come up towards Blanchimont now. They're really, really close there, fighting hard. Stephen Cartner, though, looks to have lost a bit because of that front wing on the top end, and he needs to tuck himself in as they come towards Blanchimont, Jack.
Yeah, Blanchimont is a tough corner. You don't want to be side by side, but you can try and get them on the exit. If you can get a slightly better run, slightly a little bit more overspeed, which Bruce Paul looks like he has done indeed, because obviously Jos van der Ven is going to be down on downforce, but Jos van der Ven can go a little bit deeper on the brakes because he's not going to be as fast. Stephen Cartner, almost like a missile coming down the inside there, Tom, almost taking out position number 3 of Bruce Paul. He's managed to get, he's still in 4th. He's got past Franz Brink once again by the looks of it, and obviously now eyes head for Cartner.
Yeah, eyes ahead for Cartner indeed. He'll be looking as he looks right up the inside there of, I believe, Bruce Paul. Yeah, it was. And it's coming into La Source as we come towards Eau Rouge and Radillon now. Stephen Cartner, they'll be revving these engines, turning the wick right up, maximum fuel, everything that these little rotaries can give them. Coming over the top of the hill now as we see Jos van der Ven. He's going to be tucking up the inside of Kenneth Baldwin. Kenneth Baldwin's going to be looking in his mirrors now as Bruce Paul is going to be fighting really, really hard. This is absolutely fantastic racing here at Spa. Hope you're enjoying it at home. Jos van der Ven goes to the inside. Bruce Paul puts it down the middle. They nearly touch. He takes evasive action, which brings Stephen Cartner into the equation now as they go through Le Com. And this is brilliant racing. There's Kenneth Baldwin now. He spins out. Oh no, he was having such a fantastic race, 13th to 1st, sorry, and that has severely cost him on the last lap there. So unfortunate for him, Jack, but I think, as we say again, a little bit of dirt and the car just went round for him.
A mistake that Kenneth Baldwin did not need to make, especially on the last lap as well. The white flag has flown, so Kenneth Baldwin, he crossed the line at the start of this lap in 1st position. He is now down in 7th at the moment. Your leader is Jos van der Ven. He does have a little bit of a lead over Bruce Paul and Stephen Cartner. Stephen Cartner started this lap in 4th. He's now up into 2nd. I don't think he's going to be close enough to challenge van der Ven, for the race win, but Bruce Paul is going to be holding on to third, but Franz Brink, he could still put a move down to the inside. A little bit of a mistake through pit or Fania for Franz Brink. Bruce Paul, though, he's got to be looking ahead, trying to make every opportunity he can. A third place finish for him would be excellent, but anything better would be even greater. Jos van der Ven is going to be leading. Can Stephen Cartner make a difference to this position? We did see the last lap lunge here just 13 weeks ago, and I think we might see it again, Tom.
Yeah, I think we might do as it comes up to Blanchimont for the last time, I believe. And so Stephen Cartner looking to the right, sticks it on the grass. He hits Jos van der Ven. They touch. Both seem to have got away with those. Stephen Cartner, though, going in very hard. He touches Jos van der Ven and he's round. And Bruce Paul there. Bruce Paul makes absolute mincemeat of that and does extremely well. Takes all the opportunities that he could to make that stick now. So Stephen Cartner, manages to get away with that. But Jos van der Ven is the one that comes off the worst there, Jack.
Stephen Cartner going for a final corner lunge, not going to make it work. Bruce Paul is going to be coming down the hill past the Coca-Cola banners on the pit garages, crosses the line and wins race number 1 from Spa-Francorchamps. What an ending to a race. Jos van der Ven is going to be fuming after that. He's only now exiting the source. He has dropped down to position number 9 from position number 1 in the space of a corner. And in fact, that car is crabbing. Stephen Cartner is going to be second. Franz Brink is going to get an awesome result and get himself his first podium, but Richard Coulomb as well, finishing 4th.
Yeah, great race for Richard Coulomb and Gianni Rispaldo as well. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic work from him there and a great drive.
And well, few cars just crossing the line just to finish off race number 1. Don't forget, another one coming your way after we have gone through your finishing positions for race number 1. Luck was all Bruce Paul needed, and he wins race number 1, coming from 9th place on the grid. Stephen Cartner is going to finish 2nd. Franz Brink from 10th is going to finish 3rd. Richard Coulomb in 4th, and Gianni Rispaldo in 5th. Kenneth Baldwin in 6th. Ramigo de Pasqua, biggest mover and shaker as well, up 20 positions on his starting position, going to finish 7th. Paul Hamilton finishing 8th. John Hunsby in 9th, and Jos van der Ven, heartbreak for him, rounding out your top 10.
Mike Taylor, we didn't talk about him too much in the 66 car, coming up from 22nd to finish 11th, so a good drive from him. William Kaysen in the 57 finishes 12th. Andrew Fiddler 13th. Stefan Rosgen, unfortunate for him, he was having a great fight at the front there, but he finishes 14th in the end. Kenneth Drummer in 15th. Mark Robertson is 16th. He would have wished for a better drive there. Paolo Bonserra there finishes 17th. Michael Key in 18th. Bill Lawrence, unfortunate for him, he just got caught up in an accident off the bus stop. And David Riley rounds out your top 20.
John Morgan is going to finish 21st, Donald Federer in 22nd, Joe Frozen in 21st, Richard Valley in 24th, and then one lap down is going to be Joel Martin, Mark Lyson, and then your non-finishers, Ralph Kemmerer, Fred McIntosh, and Bob Kern. And well, race number 1 is over. We are going to be able to speak to a couple of drivers, and I believe, Tom, you're stood by with Bruce Paul.
Bruce, a great, fantastic drive from you there. Absolutely brilliant. You worked really, really hard. I think luck was a little bit on your side, though. But how do you feel after your win in race 1 there?
Oh, wow. I never ever thought I'd win in this league, to tell you the truth. And I'm not sure how I got up there, but all of a sudden we were in the top 5, and it just went from there. It was kind of crazy. I think some of the guys had some problems, and I guess I benefited from it.
Yeah, we saw your benefits on the broadcast here on RaceSpotTV. I can't imagine what you were going through when you saw Stephen Cartner there make the mistake and Jos van der Ven lose it as well. You must be absolutely delighted with that win. But what was going through your mind? Because we saw you were having a little bit of battle with Franz Brink. What was going through your mind as you were chasing those guys towards the end?
I was just glad to get a little bit clear of Franz, actually, because he was giving me a real hard time, very fast and catching me on the straights. And I didn't really realize how far up we were, but yeah, it was quite a surprise to be up there near the front with those guys, Van der Ven and Karkner. It was quite a treat racing with those guys for a change.
It was quite a treat for us as well, Bruce, to be watching you racing. So before we let you go and on to the next driver, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd just like to thank all the guys in the league, the guys that are doing all the work, putting things together, and you guys for making such a nice broadcast out of it. I know my grandkids watch you guys, and it's fun for a 70-year-old kid to be doing this.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much there, Bruce.
Thank you.
And well, we are also now going to be joined by our second place finisher, Stephen Karkner. Stephen, first of all, I want to ask you, what happened at the bus stop? Because from your view, it just looks as though a little bit of a roadblock.
Yeah, I went a little hot into that channel, into that corner, and I couldn't slow down enough. I already apologized to Joss for that.
And obviously, looking forward, you know you've got the pace into race 2. You finished second. I'm going to guess top step of the podium is your aim.
I think the key for the next race is to be a little patient and let everybody else battle in front of you and then save your tires for the last 2 or 3 laps. And I'm going to go for the win for sure.
Now, I asked most drivers this when we come to draft circuits, and I'm going to ask it again for those of you who haven't seen this series before. Stephen, explain to the viewer at home what it's like being behind the wheel, and that draft is so strong, especially into Le Common down the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, you can pick up almost a second and a half in that straight and catch up to anybody that's in front of you, and you have the highest speed that you're going to get in the race. That's what happened to me on the last lap.
And obviously, before we go and let you quickly celebrate with your team before race number 2, who would you like to do a shout out to?
I just want to thank everybody in our league, and good luck in season 7. And thanks, Joel and Mark, for setting everything up.
Well, first, congratulations, Stephen. That is your second place finish. Tom, you are very quickly stood by with Franz Brink, who finished third.
Hi, Franz. A great race from you there. We saw you were quite, you were sort of midfield, higher up the midfield, and then it just all came together for you. How does it feel after your podium finish there for race 1?
Oh, looks as though we might have lost Franz. Oh, have we got you back, Franz?
Hear me now?
Yep, got you fine. Go on, Tom.
As I was saying, Franz, we saw you sort of midfield pack for some of the race, and then you had some brilliant moves. You went from 10 to 3rd. But how does it feel for your podium in race 1?
Yeah, that was quite a surprise for a coward. I am a rather cautious driver because I had some issues the last races. So I just stayed back on the pack of the 5 cars. But coming up to, I think they had some issues, the front 5.
Yeah, we could see that on the broadcast. So when the front few guys had the issues, is it going to be the same for you again in race 2? Are you just going to bide your time and then try and pounce if you see any mistakes, or is there any other strategy that you're going to use?
Yeah, I have to say I'm not that good driver, so I can't push. So I have to keep to my strategy. Yes.
Okay, just before we let you go there, Franz, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to and any thanks to?
Just all the guys in the 6th class, Joel and Mark, and all the guys who are doing this great job. And I think, like I said when I started the Facebook site, I think we have some media. We can catch some media hype by being this old. I mean, some of us are even 90.
Yeah, it's brilliant stuff, and it's great to see that people from all ages are getting involved. Thanks very much for speaking to us, Franz, and we look forward to your performance in race 2.
And well, that's all we've got time for now. We will be back in around 5 to 10 minutes for race number 2 here from Spa. Myself and Tom are going to go and find what the best chips and mayonnaise has to offer, and Hugo is going to get everything set up, and we will have all the action back here again on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Go make yourself a cup of tea, get ready, because the action isn't going away.
Kyle Kimball. I am the Manager of Operations in the Motorsports Department for Mazda North American Operations. We are at Bondurant Racing School here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are putting on the Mazda Road to 24 shootout. We started with 14 qualifiers that submitted business plans to us, and from those 14, we narrowed it down to 4. Those qualifiers were Celine Roland, Tyler Casera, John Allen, and Preston Pardis.
For me, the first session was just, the memorization piece of the track. I probably was halfway through the session before I felt like there were 2 or 3 places I could push. Now I knew what was next. I already see some differences in preference, how people approach certain turns, or certainly the braking into the first chicane is a little bumpy. So there's a lot to learn, but that's part of the fun.
So as a judge, what we're looking for from these drivers is the opportunity that they take the information that we give them. They can then make themselves a better driver on the racetrack, and then we get to see that instantaneously the next session when we go out there. So we can see whether they can listen to us and comprehend what we're saying, put it into practice, and then see the result.
I'm Jonathan Bomarito. I race the Mazda factory RT24P prototype for Mazda in the IMSA series. We've had 4 really impressive guys here today, all going for a $100,000 scholarship to run in the MX5 Cup series next year.
I'm Preston Pardis. I'm from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Actually, I've had iRacing since 2010, so I'm a 5-star gold member on the forums. Nothing like hopping on, with a few buddies and do a few sessions, but it's great when you're learning a track. There's nothing like physically driving a racetrack. You can look at video data, but nothing does justice to where you want to really place your car, and it really transfers really well. I think you need to do it nowadays.
Hi, I'm Tyler Casera. I'm an at-large nominee here at the shootout, Spec Miata racer, and won a couple championships in SCCA and NASA. iRacing is, I think, a huge tool, great tool for me to prepare for race weekends and just hone my craft and stay sharp when I'm not actually at the track.
Hey, my name is Salim Rayan, 9th year Mazda racer. I currently race Spec Miata. Honestly, the first thing I thought of when I got in this car was how similar it is to iRacing.
Took us one final session, but we do have a winner of the $100,000 value scholarship into the 2018 Mazda MX-5 Cup, and that winner is Celine Roland. Congratulations.
It's incredible knowing that now I'm a Mazda factory driver. I work for Mazda, Classic Mazda in Orlando, Florida, and now I'm a Mazda factory driver. It's kind of my life now, even more than it was before. Just a professional race car driver. That's what everyone's dream is, and my dream has become a reality.
One driver of note, John Allen, came here today mainly with an iRacing background, and it was pretty impressive actually, I must say, how he started off that he drove 3 sessions. Every session, solid improvement. Lap times were coming down. I was very impressed actually with his approach, and a lot of that comes through the iRacing, and you really see how beneficial that is for these drivers trying to come up through the ladder.
I've just started to watch my son get involved in iRacing, and it wasn't available when I was around, so I'm really captive now about how it can increase the ability for a driver to come to a racetrack and know the racetrack and really have a good feel of what to expect, and we're seeing that with all the iRacing competitors that we've had come through the program so far. And this year with John Allen, and I've already said this to him, remarkably impressed with how well he has done.
So through our partnership with iRacing, John Allen beat 17,000 other online racers to make it here today, which in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment. He showed today that he absolutely deserved to be with the 3 other drivers on track. He showed consistency and learning every single time he was on the track. He was in 3 sessions, and each session he got faster, sometimes by a half a second. The progression that he showed throughout the day was absolutely tremendous.
I'm pleased with my performance. I'm pleased with the feedback I got, the opportunity to get the level of coaching that we did. My goal right now is to make it back here next year, through the real world competition, and just make it back as an at-large bid. I know a little more about the process. It leaves me better prepared to come back and attack. No doubt, the list is long of people to thank. My wife and our dog, and they were just fun road trips. We even snuck a family reunion in between 2 of the events this year, and to that end, my family, supporting me in this. They don't need to understand it, they just know I love it, and that's enough for them to support me and push me further. Clearly, the practice I received over the last few years using iRacing is very applicable. To come out here and do a serviceable job, even a highly competitive job, is almost entirely due to that. So I intend to still be a regular on there and continue honing my skills and find some more tracks to translate that to next year.
Race 1 might be over, but we have more action coming for you on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. 60 plus racing adventures. We are back for race number 2. Jack Stars alongside Tom Jacobs, Hugo Luis behind the cameras and mods on. Race 1 was full of action. We had drama everywhere. Boost Paul was able to take his first win of the season. And coming into race 2, God, make a bet. Who's going to win?
I honestly think Stephen Cartner's going to take it, to be honest. He was a little bit rough, a little bit aggressive in race 1, but if he can get that foot down, he can get it done. But I think the main person he's going to come up against is Jos van der Ven.
And well, obviously looking forward to the rest of the season. We talked before we went live about the schedule that announced they have, obviously, for their 12-week Season 7, we are only going to be broadcasting 3 weeks. This week, in 6 weeks' time, we'll be going to Watkins Glen. And then for the final round on August the 29th, Tom got extremely excited over this one. We'll be going to Donington Park, a circuit which, for UK race fans, holds a lot of history.
It does, doesn't it? Donington 93 in Formula 1 comes to mind, and Senna with that fantastic lap one for the European Grand Prix. And we've seen a lot of bike racing and touring car action there throughout the years. So Donington for me, I don't know about you, Jack, is probably my favourite UK circuit. Not a fan of Silverstone. I think it's a bit of a funeral march. But yeah, looking forward to Donington and the rest of the season.
I think after Snetterton, which is my local circuit, I think Donington is definitely one of the best. It's one of the circuits which always provides exciting action. We are going to be on the GP circuit, so it's going to be the slightly longer variation, not the chicane that we see for the national circuit, which they run in the British Touring Car Championship. We're going to be on the Grand Prix Light, which they used to run for the Formula 1 World Championship back in the early 90s, and some great moments came out of that, didn't it, Tom?
Yeah, some fantastic moments, a lot of moments of my childhood. I remember sitting down on my dad's knee at the age of 2 or 3 years old and watching the F1 action from the early 90s, the old Williams, the old adaptive suspension Williams and things like that. So yeah, brilliant stuff. Ferrari wasn't so strong back then, but we came back, and then obviously it moved to Silverstone, and that all changed for us. But yeah, really looking forward to the season ahead, especially with these guys, because they race so hard, Jack, and they really do deserve every position they get.
And well, here comes the favourite part of my favourite part of the broadcast. Tom, you are going to take us for a lap on board with Stephen Carkner in the number 75 machine, who was pole position for race number 1. You're going to take us a lap on board of Spa-Francorchamps as he exits the bus stop. Go.
Hold tight then, everyone. You're about to average about 130 miles an hour on board with Stephen Carkner here at Spa-Francorchamps. Coming down into La Source now, takes it nice and tight, takes as tight a line as he can. As he puts his foot down now, tightens his harness as much as he can, looks left, looks right, but don't you want to look at the crowd too much. Coming on the start-finish straight then, under the total banner, looking left, up into Eau Rouge, so you get a massive load of downforce there, and then it lifts up the front of the car, so you really crouch down, and then you come onto the Kemmel straight now, absolutely flat to the floor. You want to be pushing as hard as you absolutely can. That little rotary in the back of that Pro Mazda will be absolutely screaming at the moment, probably rounding it up to all the way up to about 12,000 RPM. As we come up now, down to the Kemmel straight, up to Lecombe, brake as late as you dare as you tip in onto the curb, take as much apex as you need, swing it out left slightly as you come towards the through Brussels now and down towards the rest of the circuit. So brake hard again, tip it into the right. Don't want to lose it too much because this is a downhill part of the circuit. You can lose the front end and then the rear end a little bit. Through to No Name Corner, again, as much apex as you can and then hard on the gas. Don't want to push it out too wide there. It can really upset the car in these situations, especially with a hot track like this. Coming into Pouhon, braking late, does so finely, does Stephen Carkner. He's really on a hot one here. Pushing as hard as he can as he comes up to the next corner now, under the Alliance Bridge. Reminds me of Juan Pablo Montoya back in the day. Takes the apex again. A little bit of unsettlement there, but he's doing really well here. He'll be pushing his heart, pushing the car really hard on the brakes. Looks to the right, pushes it out wide again. And then all you got to do now is absolutely mash the throttle as you come up through Paul Frere and on towards Blanchimont now. You don't want to lose any sort of concentration through here because Blanchimont is a really fast corner for these guys. Under the DHL bridge, as they come towards the left, he'll be looking to the left now, and it's a little bit blind, this apex, so he lifts ever so slightly. There he gets it absolutely perfect, and then back on the power down towards the bus stop, under the Bridgestone bridge, and then hard on the anchors. The car's trying not to lock up too much. Gets it done in tightly, a little bit of a lock up for him there, and then back onto the start finishing straight and towards the source, and that is a lap of Spa-Francorchamps with Stephen Carkner.
And well, obviously we are using the classic pits, so the lap hasn't quite finished yet. He has still got to manoeuvre himself around the source. Of course, he has one more lap remaining in his qualifying to get the fastest time possible. First time's now going to start to come through. Obviously, we're going to be about another 30 seconds before I can give you a good estimate on who I reckon is going to get pole. Stephen Carkner, 118.2, that's going to put him in third place, 7/10 of Stephen Roaston.
Yeah, so 218.234 there from Stephen Carkner. I think the track's a little bit hotter this time round, Drac, so the cars won't be as quick as we saw last time, but he is in third place at the moment and goes down to fourth, actually. John Lunsby puts in a 218.2, so I think really if you want pole here, you need to be in the 217s.
You do indeed, and in fact, I reckon you need to be in the low 217. Spa-Francorchamps has done a lap that I would probably say is unbeatable there, Tom. I think you'll probably agree.
Yeah, I think that could be unbeatable for him, unless, because these guys, most of them have now only got one lap left. And I've seen a little bit of mistake from Stephen Cartman there as he come through Les Cons. The rear end stepped out a little bit, so unless he can get a fantastic second and third split and get some purple times in, I don't really think Spa-Francorchamps going to be beaten here.
No, I don't think so either. And of course, Spa-Francorchamps could improve. Those tyres are going to come up to temperature just that little bit more on the second lap. The pressure is going to be slightly more optimal, meaning that the time is going to be slightly better, that you're able to get out of the car. Again, for those of you just tuning in, this is the 60 Plus Racing Adventures. Drivers who drive in the series are usually of tender age, Tom. They're 60 years or older, and they run a fixed setup, so it's all about the driver's skill, which is why we see such close racing. And of course, race 1 showed us that.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? But as I said before in the interviews, it's great to see these guys getting involved, and iRacing is a service for people like me and you, Jack, that can't really afford to get into actual real life competing. It gives us the closest we can actually get, and sometimes, as I found out on Monday with World GT, you can be leading a race and it can all go down the hill, and the emotion that you get is just insane. So it's brilliant to see people of all ages getting involved, men and women and children. So brilliant job by everyone at iRacing. We can't thank you enough.
And of course, if you are watching and you aren't a member of iRacing.com, just go and get yourself a 3-month subscription, get through that rookie class and realise what it's all about. One day, you could be on a RaceSpotTV broadcast, and of course, you could, or even if you're lucky enough, you could be in the booth with either myself, Tom, or Hugo, and it's a privilege which I think all of us are very thankful to be having at RaceSpotTV. Second time's now coming in for qualifying, and Tom, Stephen Cartner, I think he's pretty precise with that lap time.
Yeah, so he's done a 2:18, absolutely dead, bang on the mark. So a pretty precise time from him. Bill Lawrence, though, is not the best time from him. He would have wanted a little bit better than that. But as you say, Jack, Spa-Francorchamps looks like he can't really be beaten here at Spa today.
And well, just a few more drivers to finish off qualifying, and then we'll be able to take you down to your starting grid and try not to get caught out by the green flag dropping like I did in race number 1. Another 17 laps coming your way, 45 minutes of action coming up. Shouldn't be that long. Race length should be around 30-35 minutes, and will be full of action for your enjoyment. We will be having to... One of the things we do obviously want to see, Tom, is nice clean racing. We saw lots of that in race number 1, and I presume we're going to see exactly the same in race number 2, like always with this series.
Yeah, we should do, shouldn't we? These guys are very experienced. I know a lot of them are raced in the real life world as well, in their younger years. So they should know what they're doing. We saw, as you say, we saw a lot of clean racing in race 1. We did see a few argy-bargies. Stephen Cartner getting involved with Jos van der Ven quite a few times. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
And well, it looks as though everyone apart from 1 or 2 drivers who are down on the pit lane have now finished off their qualifying, and in just a few moments' time we will take you down to your starting grid. Spa-Francorchamps takes the pole at 2 minutes 17.528. Alongside him, Jos van der Ven, he is almost 4/10 slower. Third position going to go to Stephen Cartner with the dead of 2 minutes 18. John Unsbeat in 4th, Mark Robertson in 5th, Bill Lawrence starting 6th, John Morgan in 7th, Franz Brink in 8th, Kenneth Baldwin in 9th, and Gerald Floresson going to round out your top 10.
Andrew Fiddler in 11th. He'd have wanted to do a little bit more than that. We saw him from season 6. He is a quick driver. Mike Taylor in 12th. Paolo Bonacera in 13th. And Joel Martin in 14th. Kenneth Drummond, we wanted a better race this time, so he's in 15th. Bob Kern in 16th. Bruce Paul in 17th. So let's see if he can capitalise like he did last time. Remigo de Pasqua in 18th. Mark Leiss in 19th. And Ralph Kemmerer rounds up your top 20 in the 73 machine.
21st is going to be Richard Coulin. Paul Hamilton lining up 22nd. Gianna Rispaldo going to be 23rd. David Riley in 24th. Fred McIntosh 25th. Michael K 26th, and Richard Valley is going to round out the 27 car field. Cars are going to be heading down to your starting grid. The pole position is going to be to Stephen Roaston, starting under that total banner, and of course the green flag will drop. First corner is Eau Rouge, and Tom, you don't want to be going side by side there, do you?
Absolutely not. So that's the one thing you won't want to be doing. You don't want to ruin your race by doing that. So let's see how the guys get on then for race 2.
And well, just a minute and a half left for all the drivers to convene. I think it's going to be slightly quicker than that one. It was about 1 minute and 20 seconds in race number 1. Seeing if there's any gaps on the grid. There's a couple in sort of the back end of the top 10. I believe it's 9th position, 10th position. Derek Florison hasn't yet made it down to your starting grid. Everyone else looks like they're ready to go. A couple of gaps towards the back of the field, and just as the music dies out, the tension starts to rise, and you'll know when we're ready to go racing, because you will hear the engine notes rise. This Pro Mazda is obviously one of the stepping stones into the Verizon IndyCar Series. Verizon IndyCar Series was the prime time for Friday Night Primetime. Don't forget, voting is still open for this season's Friday Night Primetime. You choose what will be coming up. Myself and Will Vincent will bring you all the action. Time slot will be confirmed once the results have also been confirmed. A couple of drivers, I believe, still missing towards the back of the field. Bob Kern hasn't taken to the grid just yet, and he is the only one we are now waiting for. So Bob Kern, as soon as he heads himself down onto the starting grid, will be ready for race number 2. Race number 2 will start. We'll be taking you into RaceSpotTV Fan Immersion.
Little bit of an issue there. Sorry, I think we had an issue on the mics there. So Jos van der Ven, off the start, didn't actually get going in the 167 car. We don't know if he's got any issues. We're looking at the pit lane now. Looks like he's got a few steering issues. Don't know whether that's to do with hardware or anything else like that. But that's a bit of a muck-up on the start for him there. But as we look forward and through to the rest of the grid after those couple of cars got caught up in that, Stefan Rogen is down in 3rd. So Stephen Kartner has made headway, and behind him is John Unsby. And he looks to the right a little bit now as we start to have a little bit of argy-bargy between them. Stefan Rogen getting a little bit out of shape, but that's absolutely brought Mark Robertson into play with Bill Lawrence and John Morgan as well, a name that we didn't see in race 1 getting up there, Jack. So all to play for still here, Jack. These guys are pushing really, really hard, and yeah, not the best start for Jos van der Ven there.
He didn't even start. He didn't move off the grid, Tom. He just sat there. No wonder he got punted. He is now back out onto the circuit, starting his race after all. But yes, Stephen Kartner getting a good start. He's up into position number 1 as they come into curve. Paul Freyer for the first time. Obviously, a lot of cars involved in that incident. Everyone had to try and miss what was going on. Replay up on your screens now, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Jos van der Ven didn't even move, and everyone else, John Unsby as well, he had the hardest job to get around in, because he had to go full left-hand lock. He's gone from 4th up to 2nd, Tom. Stephen Rogen, though, he's down to 3rd, obviously behind the start. Obviously, the starting of this race is very close. A little bit of side-by-side action further down your field between the cars of Mike Taylor and Andrew Fiddler and Franz Brink as we come into the bus stop this time. A little bit of tyre smoke ahead of them. But yes, it's all to play for in the first lap at the moment. These guys need to settle down because it is a long race.
It is a long race. As we see Stefan Rogen there managed to get the move done on John Unsby coming out the bus stop. So got a little bit of a better run. And as we look, I think John Unsby might have a little bit of damage as Stefan Rogen gets massively out of shape coming out of the source. He got way too early on the power, and it's something that you really can't do in these cars, Jack. He's really unsettled him there, and Stephen Kartner has just absolutely gone. It's like Vettel in Canada last weekend. As we look a little bit forward, Mark Robertson going around the outside at the top of Eau Rouge, and he seems to make that move stick with Stefan Rogen, then putting a little bit of power on Mark Robertson there as he puts it too wide Coming up to Lecombe down the Camel Straight, but as we see there, John Unsby has got damage, so let's see what can happen here. Mark Robertson, does he let him go? Yeah, he's let Stefan Roston go, so he's defended from John Unsby as well. So now at first, Stephen Cartner, John Unsby, Mark Robertson, Stephen Cartner, Stefan Roston, Mark Robertson and John Unsby round out your top 4.
Mark Robertson, Tom, move of the day for me. Around the outside of Radion, you do not see that very often. He used the curb to his advantage. Stephen Cartner, though, has just let him walk off into the distance. It's like he's like having a Sunday drive at the moment, Tom. Stefan Roston will be wanting to close that gap before long. Obviously, Stefan has got pace. He qualified on pole, and he was half a second quicker than Stephen Cartner. So, Stefan, we know that he can get himself up there. All he needs to do is make that draft work for him. If he can get close enough, he can be able to slingshot himself past. But do not count out Mark Robertson. He is a force to be reckoned with and a fast driver in the series. Didn't really see him in race 1. Hoping to see more of him in race 2.
Yeah, it's difficult for him, isn't it? Because now, as we see, John Morgan's up there and he's putting a lot of pressure on John Unsby. But the problem that Stefan Roston is going to have is now he's out of that draft zone of Stephen Cartner. So it's really going to come down to lap times. As we see John Morgan now starting to go around the outside of John Unsby, and I think that front wing damage is actually starting to hurt John Unsby as through Blanchimont now, but John Unsby shuts the door on him. And who have we got coming up here? So your season 6 champion is Bill Lawrence. Has a little bit of a look up the inside of John Morgan, and we didn't see much of in race 1. No, he doesn't make that move stick. He backs off, and wisely as well, as Andrew Fiddler tries to go around the outside of Kenneth Baldwin, most unluckiest man as we had in race 1, Jack. So these guys, it's all starting to come together again as it did in race 1.
Kenneth Baldwin wanting to make up for that poor race 1 performance that he had, that little incident on that last lap, has meant that he couldn't get the win that he was so close to getting. Bruce Paul, though, who won the race number 1, he's in 14th position.
Yeah, but he said to us in the interviews, he admitted he's not the quickest driver on the grid, which is fair enough. But he'll just be looking to see what he can do as we move a little bit forward now. And Stefan Roston, as they go past the back marker, is literally alongside Mark Robertson. Those little rows be absolutely screaming now. Mark Robertson looks to have the advantage a little bit as he sticks his nose up the outside. Yeah, he gets that move done. So Mark Robertson, Jack, having a fantastic drive from him. Not the drive that he had in race 1, but race 2, he's definitely making up for it for him and his team.
Speaking of Bruce Paul, he's managed to get himself into 13th position, or 12th position now actually, getting past Paolo Bonacera in the number 37 seat. Ramigo de Pasqua going to be getting himself around the car of Ralph Kemmerer. Ralph Kemmerer not had the start he wanted, Tom. He is a long way down in this field, 23rd position now. Bob Kern down onto the pit lane. He looks as though actually that could be his start because he missed the race start.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I don't know whether the team have been having issues with the car or anything else like that, so they decided to try and start from pit lane and couldn't get it going in time. Unfortunate for him, but he'll just be going and just make the end of the race. Use it as a bit of a practice session, really. But looking forward to the front of the grid again. Stefan Roston is still fighting with Mark Robertson. He's not letting him get away, but they still can't seem to put any sort of close the gap between those two and Stephen Cartner, Jack.
Yeah, as well, Stefan Roston is now he's dropped down to 3rd. Mark Robertson, as you just said, they're going to go side by side into Blanchimont this time. As Roston gets the inside line, that is the favourable line that he needs. Mark Robertson does now have the position for an undercut, and I think he might be able to do it down under the Bridgestone Bridge for the 3rd time into the bus stop. John Unsby good on the brakes as we saw in race 1, closing up the gap to Mark Robertson nice and quickly, not going to be able to make any positions there. John Morgan, one of the drivers, Tom, who we didn't really talk about in race 1, currently sitting in position number 5, and well, he's having a quiet day today.
Yeah, he is having a quiet day, isn't he? But he did quite well in season 6 from what I remember. We were commentating on him a lot and he was always up the front, so I was surprised to see him not so much at the front in race 1. Don't know whether there was a few mistakes and stuff like that there. He had quite a strong qualifying, started in 7th, so he'll be looking to capitalise on that and make the best of the moves he can, but looking a bit more forward now. Mark Robertson is right in the slipstream of Stefan Roston, a move that echoes the move of a previous lap, and they are starting to close the gap on Stephen Cartner here. John Unsby as well, though, he's starting to capitalise. He looks to the right, Stefan Roston goes to shut the door, and he does so finely there, make sure that he cannot get through. So John Unsby has to stick for that position, but Mark Robertson up into 2nd there, Jack.
Slam the door, Roston, like he needs to. John Unsby, he got denied 3rd position, and Unsby, he's just going to have to do it again, and in fact that's actually left him into the clutches of the 177 of John Morgan. But Stephen Roesgen, he's obviously, Mark Robertson using that draft to his advantage. That's what he needed. Gap is starting to come down between Mark Robertson and Stephen Cartner now, 1.8 seconds. And well, Tom, the draft really works around here, because Bill Lawrence has got the fastest lap of the race. He is the only driver in the 2:16. That's quicker than we saw in qualifying.
Yeah, so if he'd done that time, this just reminds me of Schumacher back in the day. If he'd done that time in qualifying, he'd have absolutely been on pole, which is absolutely fantastic driving. You know, you can't express how hard these cars are to drive, especially when they've got a bang to right's full fuel load on, and they're battling with other drivers as well. So going really well for him here, and we wish Bill Lawrence all the best, because he's right on the back of John Morgan at the moment. As we look a little bit more forward as well, you've got Stephen Roesgen, who's right on the back of Mark Robertson. So it's hard to decipher what we're going to go for, but Bill Lawrence has a little bit of a look up the inside, and then we see Mark Robertson as well. He's defending hard from Stephen Roesgen, but Bill Lawrence up the inside of John Morgan through Blanchimont, and then he's hard onto the back of John Unsby. I'm interested to see what he can do on the brakes here, as he brakes quite early actually, so a good move from him as Stephen Roesgen goes up the inside through the bus stop to take second place, Jack. So there's a lot of movers and shakers in this race at the moment.
Stephen Roesgen, good move on Mark Robertson to regain a second position. All of this battling is letting Stephen Cartner just walk away a little bit more at the front of the field. Getting a 1.9 second, they have got out an extra 10th. John Unsby deep into La Source that time, and it just looks as though Bill Lawrence was trying to get his car down the inside, wasn't able to make the move stick. But Mark Robertson looking up into Eau Rouge, you've got to wait. You do not want to do it there. Get him on the exit of Radeon, but do not give him enough draft to get back past into Le Combe. He's going to be looking left, looking right. I think he's going to have to go to the left. Stephen Roesgen going to be holding that inside line. Look at that, Stephen Cartner as well holding the inside line. They're going to go side by side, coming down the Kemmel Straight for the 5th time. And it just looks as though Roesgen has got a little bit more speed, but he's just going to let him have it. Mark Robertson moves himself up into second position. John Unsby as well, having a bit of a battle with Bill Lawrence. No changes there.
Yeah, looking at Stephen Cartner though, the guys have, I presume it's probably the draft, but don't know whether Stephen Cartner's maybe made a little bit of a mistake, because they seem to have closed that gap up really, really quickly. Stephen Roesgen's still hot on the heels of Mark Robertson at the moment, and John Unsby as well. He gets a little bit out of shape, kicking up some dirt through No Name Corner. He has got Bill Lawrence hot on his heels as they come towards Pouhon now, and Bill Lawrence, I don't think he's going to make a move here. I don't think he'd be that silly. No, he's not. So he's just biding his time and waiting for after Blanchimont. I think he's going to take him in the bus stop, Jack.
Yeah, I think the bus stop, I think it's either the bus stop or the Kemmel Straight. That is where you need to make your moves, because that is where they are going to be most important. The source is possible, but can end in disaster like we saw 13 weeks ago in Season 6. And I think that's something that these drivers do need to be aware of, because they know that that can happen. Stephen Cartner, though, I just want to give him another mention. Gap now 2.1 seconds at the front of his field, Tom. He is walking away.
Yeah, so I take back what I said about he's got any problems or anything. It just seems in Sector 2, he's the quickest man out there. He's just pulling away an absolute gap from Stephen Cartner and from Stephen Roesgen and Mark Robertson. Stephen Roesgen putting one wheel on the grass as he looks to the left, coming up to the bus stop under the Bridgestone Bridge, and no. He doesn't take that move, a wise move there, as we say at the start of the race, Jack. It is a long race this, it's 17 laps, and the guys don't want to ruin their race early on.
Still have 12 laps remaining in this event. Still a long way to go. 84 kilometres, if I can think of that rightly. I think that's about the same as driving from Norwich to, I'd probably say, Cambridge. That's a good hour and 15-minute drive, Tom. They're going to do that in the next 25 minutes. You can just tell how much speed these guys are carrying around this circuit and how fast Spa is as a circuit.
Oh, it's a brilliant circuit, isn't it? It's one of my absolute favourites, and I think it always will be. Bill Lawrence has fallen a little bit back behind, but Stephen Roesgen now has actually got the advantage, and he's doing a move that echoes the one that Mark Robertson did on him before. But John Unsby coming up through the middle now. Can he make that gap stick? He's had to back off the throttle a little bit, and he'll be frustrated with that, Jack, because he was so much faster going up that straight. But he seems to have got that move done on Bill Lawrence and Mark Robertson there. So Bill Lawrence and Mark Robertson are now they're now 4th and 5th, I believe. So Stephen Roesgen capitalising on that as they come up to one of the back markers. So John Unsby now up into 3rd position.
John Unsby is indeed up into 3rd position. Mark Robertson, he's gone from 2nd to 4th this lap. He is not having a run that he wanted. We have got a car stop through the Combe. I believe that was the number 677 of Paul Hamilton. He has indeed taken his number 77 machine back to the pit lane. In fact, actually, he had contact on. He had an incident with the driver of Kenneth Dummer. Dummer was just later on the brakes, and I think that Paul Hamilton closed the door a little bit too early, so Kenneth Dummer is going to have damage on the 07, and Paul Hamilton's down 77 looks like it is over. He is out and gone for race number 2. I'll put his feet up.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. He was having quite a good run in the midfield and fighting hard, so it is unfortunate for these guys. I know how upsetting it can be when these things happen, but they do. That's part of racing. We see it in real life, we see it in iRacing and other sims as well. So unfortunate for him. There doesn't look to be any moves done, although Bill Lawrence has a little bit of a look up the inside through Blanchimont on his teammate there, but doesn't seem to get it done. Mark Robertson going late on the brakes, and John Morgan have a look up the inside of Bill Lawrence. And Bill Lawrence, actually, Jack, just want to have a little bit of a chat about him for a minute, because as we know, he was season 6 champion, but in Spa he just doesn't seem to have that real edge that the front running guys have got at the moment.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I think actually I've just spotted something that I want to talk about, Tom, because this is going to impress you. Okay, we're 6 laps into this race. When we go to Pasqua, he started 18th. He's now 8th. How? He's made up 3 positions on this lap. He is on fire today, and he is showing why he is always a name to watch. He clearly hasn't had the qualifying pace here today, Tom. He has got the race pace, though.
Yeah, this is a difference between very good and great drivers. So, for me, as we know, on the Saturday in qualifying, that doesn't count at the end of the day. You can finish at the back, as we know from Jensen Button, Canada 2011, and still win. So, Remigo de Pasqua making a move that looks like on Andrew Fiddler there at the end of the Kemmel Straight, but doesn't quite get it done. So, brilliant driving from him, and he did the same as we saw Jack in race 1, just absolutely caning positions and just fighting through the field as best as he can.
Yeah, and actually, we're going to pass. We're going to go down to the inside, down into Rivage this time. Andrew Fiddler, he's got stuck on the outside. He has got the optimal line into No Name this time, and I think he's going to be able to make it stick. He's going to have to leave De Pasqua waiting. That's all he needs to do. Battle at the front, and in fact, actually, there's not a battle to really talk about at the moment, Tom, is there? Stephen Carter's still got a 1.7 second advantage over Stephen Rostian. That is coming down slowly, but John Linsby, Mark Robertson, Bill Lawrence for the battle for 3rd. We need to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, we do, don't we? But as we say, yeah, Stephen Cartner just walking away with this. Stefan Rojan, the team will be in his radio inside that helmet saying, come on, mate, this is race critical now. You need to, as Arriva Bennett would say, attack now, which is what he needs to do. John Unsby is coming under a lot of pressure from Mark Robertson, but Mark Robertson actually coming under a bit of pressure from his teammate there. So whether team orders will come into play, we don't know. But Mark Robertson having a look at John Unsby as he moves over to the left now. Can he make it stick coming to the bus stop? We know how good John Unsby is on the brakes, and that's just proved it there as he keeps his position. So all these guys absolutely fighting, and I think this is the best battle on track at the moment, as Mark Robertson doesn't get the best run out of the bus stop, and Bill Lawrence manages to take it. I think Mark Robertson got the rear wheels lit up a little bit, and it's given Bill Lawrence the place to himself.
Bill Lawrence has indeed got the place. John Morgan almost taking out Mark Robertson through the source. Very close between his front wing and Mark Robertson's right rear wheel. And in fact, the 2 teammates are going to try and go side by side into Eau Rouge. Mark Robinson going to back out of that one. Good choice by Mark in the number 43 machine. I think he's going to be able to get the position back though, Tom, because of that draft. It's so strong here, and the lead battle is now within a second. The lead might actually change in this race, but first of all, we're going to keep an eye on this battle for P number 4. Side by side, Mark Robinson going to try and go around the outside into Lacombe, and in fact, Bill Lawrence just going to get out of it and let him have the position.
Yeah, a wise move from him. The last thing you want to do is Baku 2018 and end up taking both Red Bulls out. So you don't want to hit your teammate, and it's a wise move from him there. We don't know what the team have said, whether they said, you can race or just try and get up as many positions as you can and try and defend each other. So it's really looking good at the moment. I'll tell you what, who we have mentioned a little bit, but not too much, is John Morgan, Jack. He's right on the back of these guys, and he's putting in similar lap times to them, and he's putting in similar lap times to the Season 6 champion at the moment.
And in fact, I think if I have seen this correctly, we have had an incident between Franz Brink, who finished 3rd position last time out, and Kenneth Baldwin, who was on to win until, and in fact, same corner, almost the same thing. Kenneth Baldwin getting 4 wheels on the inside curb of Lacombe, and I don't think Franz Brink was expecting him to be on the inside. Those two make contact they do get going without any other incident by the looks of it. Kenneth Moore, when he has parked it back onto pit lane, Franz Brink is back going again. Unfortunate incident for those two, but yes, the lead battle is starting to hot up. We still have 9 laps remaining in this race, a long way to go yet.
Yeah, but it looks like Stephen Cartner might have made a bit of a mistake there, Jack, because he had a huge lead at one point. It was absolutely enormous, and now it just seems to have shrunk right down at the moment. So Stefan Rosgen, he is right hot on the heels of Stephen Cartner in your number 75 Pro Mazda at the moment. As it all gets a little bit out of shape, a couple of back markers and things like that through the bus stop. As Bill Lawrence now, he's still right on the back of his teammate, and John Morgan is with these guys as well. So that is your top 6 at the moment. Andrew Fiddler is a little bit too far behind to be considered part of that train. So interesting what they can do as Mark Robertson gets massively out of shape coming out of the source. How he kept that out of the wall, I do not know. That's got to be save of the season. Throughout this season and season 6, that was absolutely fantastic there, Jack, trying to stop that thing from ending up in the wall there.
Having a bit of a flashback to race 1 of season 6 there, Tom, because I think it was Jos van der Ven, or might have been Mark Robertson himself, who did exactly the same thing. I think it might have even been Stephen Cartner, I can't really remember, and they ended up in the wall. Mark Robertson doing an awesome job to hold on to his car coming down to Lecombe. John Morgan going to make his way up the inside. And in fact, actually, John Morgan, he's gone from 6th to 4th there, Tom.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? So he is doing extremely well at the moment. You've got to take that into account, and you've got to be proud of a driver that can actually do that, especially a driver that's not right at the front all the time and pushing really hard. So he'll be trying to catch John Unsby now.
And we have had a lead change. After 8 laps of racing at the halfway point, Stephen Rosgen has managed to get his way past Stephen Cartner. Stephen Cartner's reign is going to be over at the front of your field. And Tom, you said that you thought Stephen Cartner had made a mistake. He hadn't. Stephen Rosgen did that on pace and pace alone. He is on fire.
Yeah, he's pushing really hard, isn't he? So I was completely wrong there. If Stefan Rosgen can do that, and we saw from his qualifying pace, he's going to have this one in the bag. All he's got to do now is try and pull away and get Stephen Cartner out of his slipstream as they come towards some back markers now. John Unsby quite far back, so we'll go back to your front runners here between Stephen Cartner and Stefan Rosgen. Let's see what Stephen Cartner can do. He's going to be a little bit annoyed that he let that lead go as they come through Blanchemont now, and I think he's going to be too far back as they come under the Bridgestone banner, but these back markers are going to come into play as he goes quite late on the brakes there. Yeah, he does well. Has possibly a little bit of a lock up there on my screen, but no, the back markers get out of the way. Blue flags waved as they do. Brilliant work by them. So Stephen Cartner, let's see if he can capitalise on this.
That's all those back markers need to do. Get out of the way, stay out of this battle. If you see 2 leaders coming up behind you, I think, Tom, you have the same reaction to me. Just get out of the way, don't even get involved. Let them get on with their own race, because these guys will be, all they're thinking about is how they're going to be able to get past the driver ahead. And in fact, actually, Stephen Rosgen is going to get held up a little bit by Joel Martin, because of course blue flags in iRacing are only advisory and not compulsory. So Stephen Rosgen, having a compromised run out of Radion this time, he's going to have to get out of the draft to get his way past Joel Martin. This is actually going to give Stephen Cartner a chance now, because he can use that draft for Joel Martin. There you go, darting in behind Stephen Rosgen now. I don't think he's actually going to be close enough to make a move into Lecombe this time, Tom, but Stephen Cartner, that gap has now closed up considerably.
Yeah, it has massively, isn't it? And Stephen Cartner, he used that back marker to his advantage there, and then uses Stefan Rosgen, gets massively wide. It's coming out of Lecombe, sorry. So it's now Stephen Cartner is going to be right on the back of Stefan Rosgen, and he's going to be biding his time, and he's a wise old owl with Stephen Cartner, and we've seen from other races before that he's a really hard fighter, and he's not one to give up here. So I hope you're looking forward to this at home. I am as well. I think Jack is as well in the commentary box, and Hugo in the production on the cameras here at RaceSpotTV. So let's see what happens here. Let's see if Stephen Cartner can really capitalise on this and take first position away from Stefan Rosgen.
And of course, fastest lap of the race so far has gone to John Morgan in the 177 machine. He has done a 1 minute 16.464. To put into perspective how strong the draft is, Tom, Stephen Rosgen's qualifying lap to put him on pole was a 1 minute 17.528. And last time around he did a 1 minute 16.594 using the draft. So the draft is incredibly strong here at Spa, and John Morgan is using that to his advantage. He is in a battle with John Unsby and Bill Lawrence, actually, for position number 3.
Sorry to cut you off there, Jack.
Yes, go.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Jack, but we had Stephen Cartner trying to go around the outside at Blanchimont, pushed it a little bit too far wide and then got 2 wheels on the curb. Sorry to cut you off there, but it was just too exciting to let go. So Stephen Cartner fighting hard as they come through the bus stop. He is really, really hungry for this now. Stefan Rosden is defending for everything as we've got, and we know how good he is at defending there.
Also looks as though John Onsby has been involved in some contact. He has dropped back in the field. That was coming through the bus stop that time. I wanted to report on that, but obviously we have that lead battle going on. John Onsby, John Morgan, they went side by side through the bus stop. I just don't think John Onsby was expecting the gap to be that small. There was a little bit of contact he has got going again, but he has got some front wing damage on that 61 machine, Tom, and that is now going to hamper him. We saw this in race 1. We're seeing it again in race 2. The guys are starting to get a little bit scrappy. They need to calm down. They've still got 7 laps remaining.
Yeah, Stephen Cartner though, Kemmel straight, going up the inside. Look at that draft there. I wish we had that draft in GT3. He's fantastic. It's like he's just turboed the thing and gone streaming past. So Stefan Rosden had no answer to that whatsoever, which is unfortunate for him because, you know, if he had a back marker there like he did last time, he could have defended it a little bit more. So now Stefan Rosden has got all the work to do as he goes. He doesn't get quite a tighter line there coming up to No Name Corner. So he'll be pushing really, really hard. But can we just acknowledge, Jack, John Morgan is up into 3rd place at the moment.
John Morgan is doing extremely well. Okay, he's not got the pace of Stephen Rosden up in the lead. He has now, actually no, in fact Stephen Cartner back in the lead. So these guys are now going to be just swapping and just using the draft to each other's advantage. And of course it is about who's going to cross the line at the end of lap number 17. But John Morgan, he has made his way up into 3rd. The drivers ahead of him on track are going to be 2 back markers. They are not the leaders. So John Morgan has got some work to do to catch up to your 2 leaders. But of course, he has Bill Lawrence behind him, who's going to be putting on the pressure. And Mark Robertson, in fact, I think something's happened to him because he has dropped down the order like a stone.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? So I'm sure we can get a replay for you guys there. But as we look towards Stefan Rosden now, as they come up towards Blanchimont, he's in the number 60. Stephen Cartner in the number 75 car there. Looks to the right a little bit. He darts out to the left. Stephen Cartner then pushes, tells him that he's there, gives a little bit of defence. But Stefan Rosden really late on the brakes, manages to stick it up the outside into the bus stop, which we haven't seen for a few years in Formula 1, I'll say that, and manages to make it stick. So Stefan Rosden now, as they come up towards La Source there, he is now taking the lead.
And you know what? I found out what's happened to Mark Robertson, and I think I've worked out where the front end damage has come from John Onsby's car. He hit Mark Robertson going through the source on lap number 10, and Mark Robertson got sent spinning around. So John Onsby, obviously too good on the brakes for Mark Robertson, and he goes flying into the back. They will both pick up damage from that. Front end damage for John Onsby, and I suspect rear end damage for Mark Robertson. The car does look pretty clean, but there's got to be something wrong with that car because it was a hard hit that sent him round.
Yeah, it was a hard hit for him, but as we see, Stephen Cartner now takes the lead again up the Kemmel Straight. So I think here on RaceSpotTV, we're going to focus on this battle here because this is really starting to heat up now as they come towards Le Combe now. So pushing hard, looking this way and that way. Stefan Rosden has now got the work to do. He's on the back foot now. Stephen Cartner, he's got the lead at the moment as they come towards No Name Corner. As we know, both these cars are exactly the same power. They're a fixed setup car, so everything's the same. It's all down to driver skill. But as we've said before, Jack, we've said it so many times before, the draft is just so strong at Spa that it really is anyone's guess who's going to take the win here.
It is, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who takes the win indeed, because Stephen Cartner has obviously got the run that he needs to get past Stephen Rosden, but it's all going to be about who's going to be ahead. It's not necessarily the driver who's going to be ahead on the final lap is going to be the driver who's going to be crossing the line first, Tom, and crossing the line first is what matters.
Yeah, of course it is, and that's what both guys will want to do for every race that they enter. But it's unfortunate for some of them because even though Bruce Paul did win the first race, and it's absolutely fantastic for him, for race 2, these guys really need to capitalise on it because these are the guys that are really going to be pushing for that all-elusive win. So, as we look a little bit further, Bill Lawrence has made the move on John Morgan, who's coming under sorry, I stand corrected. John Morgan's got back ahead of Bill Lawrence as Bill Lawrence starts to go up the inside through Blanchimont, and he does so finally. John Morgan right out on the AstroTurf. You don't want to be out there too much, son. The car will come round on you, but he gets that move stuck. And then Stefan Rosgen, he's taken the lead again on Stephen Kartner coming up into the bus stop, Jack. It's so exciting. I can't keep up.
I can't either. I go and look at my timing screens and I just think, oh, hang on, Stephen Rosgen's back in the lead. No, he's not. Stephen Kartner's back in the lead. It changes every single minute, and it always does with this series. It's what I love so much about it. John Morgan has got his way up. No, it's not John Morgan, in fact. I think that might be a back marker. It is. It's John Martin. So John Martin, John Morgan. I'm getting confused between the two now. Bill Lawrence is in third and John Morgan in fourth. That last podium position is going to be hard fought out. John Morgan, in fact, actually going to get held up by Mark Lyson up through Eau Rouge this time. We have 5 laps remaining and back to the lead. Stephen Kartner around the outside, slingshotting himself past Stephen Rosgen. He's back into P1.
Yeah, he's done another move. It's just all about the draft here, and I think what is going to happen again is Stefan Rosgen's then going to bide his time, and then when we come up to the bus stop this time round, he's probably going to try and take that lead again. As we come up towards, I can't remember the name of the corner now, but as we come up towards No Name then, he's going to be fighting hard, and he makes a little bit of a mistake there to Stephen Kartner, puts it out a little bit too wide. I think the rear tyre's lit up there, and it's given Stefan Rosgen a little bit of an excuse to get right up on the back of Stephen Kartner, coming towards P1 now.
I think Rivage is the corner name you're looking for, Tom, before No Name.
Oh, well, now I know then, don't I?
Yeah, you do indeed. As they come up to Fania, turn number 11 and 12, Stephen Kartner is going to be defending hard from Stephen Rosgen. Rosgen, the mighty German, he has been on a charge, trying to get his way back to win race number 2. He was close in race number 1, just wasn't able to make it stick, and he finished down in the pack. He is obviously up at the front. Stephen Kartner, another one as well, who had a little bit of heartbreak in race number 1. Bill Lawrence is far too far behind, 6.5 seconds behind your lead battle to be able to make a difference, but he has his own battle in the form of John Morgan. We haven't got the 5-car trains that we had in race number 1, but we still have the same amount of action as they come through Blanchimont. Stephen Rosgen going to be looking onto the inside into the bus stop. He's got a much better run off the corner, and Stephen Kartner is going to be he's just going to have to yield the position there, Tom. There's not much he can do.
No, there isn't, is there? Whoa, as Stefan Rosgen gets massively out of shape coming through the bus stop. I thought they were going to have contact there. Stephen Kartner, a wise old owl, slammed on the anchors and stopped himself from ripping off that front wing into Stefan Rosgen. So coming onto the coming towards the Kemmel Straight and through Eau Rouge and Radeon, Stefan Rosgen is your race leader. Stephen Kartner in second. Bill Lawrence is in third position ahead of John Morgan, and John Unsby rounds out your top 5, although John Unsby is a little bit too far back to put any pressure on the front 4 drivers.
12.5 seconds behind your leader is John Unsby. He is losing some time, and in fact actually everyone behind your leaders are losing time every single lap. And once again the battle is going to be going onto the back straight. Stephen Kartner going to be looking to the left, Stephen Rosgen going to be staying to the right, sticking to the inside for Lecombe. There's nothing that Stephen Rosgen can do, and actually at the moment, I'm thinking, Tom, if it sticks like this, Stephen Kartner's going to have the advantage into the bus stop on the final lap, but Stephen Rosgen is going to have to make a move to be able to get that win.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Is it worth Stephen Kartner not taking the lead on the Kemmel Straight and backing off to then gain that advantage back when it comes up to the bus stop, so he can take the lead into La Source and take the win? So interesting development here at Spa this evening. That's a big call to make, not to overtake a driver to gain track advantage towards the end. Gets a little bit wide there through Pouon to Stephen Kartner, but interested to see what him and the team decide to do, as Stefan Rosgen has a little bit of a look up the inside but doesn't seem to make that stick. So interesting stuff here, Jack.
Interesting stuff indeed. 3.4 laps remaining of this motor race. We have 14 laps in the book at the end of this one, and I have a feeling that whoever is going to exit the bus stop in the lead will most likely be your driver that will cross the line in first position at the end of lap number 17. 3 more after this one remaining here at Spa-Francorchamps. And well, Tom, I think it's safe to say that we have seen a fair amount of action. That action is not going to go away coming into Blanchimont. Stephen Rosgen out on the outside, getting to show off iRacing's new grass effects, which look amazing. The grass being flicked up from Stephen Rosgen's number 6 car is going to go down to the inside into the bus stop. Is he going to be able to make a move on Stephen Kartner? I don't think he is. Kartner is going to stay in the lead.
Yeah, Cartner. So this is a little bit of an argy-bargy here. So the guys, he's going to be thinking to himself, I'm not sure whether Stefan Roshan didn't just back out of that then. He could have stuck it up the inside and forced Stephen Cartner wide, but he didn't. So who's going to gain track advantage at the end of this lap, Jack, and towards the end of the race is anybody's guess, I think. At the moment, it seems a little bit more tame than race one at the moment, because we haven't got a 5-car train for the lead. We've only got 2 guys battling it out, even though these 2 of these guys are some of the best in the Pro Mazda on the iRacing service that you can get. But Stefan Roshan back in the draft to Stephen Cartner, and they go 2 wide up the Kemmel Straight then, and it looks like Stefan Roshan has made that move stick, so he is now leading this race coming up into Les Combes, and Stephen Cartner is now going to be chasing him down for the rest of the lap.
If they only pass each other on the Kemmel Straight, I predict the advantage is going to be to Stefan Roshan, because at the going on to the final lap, I'm predicting that Stephen Cartner will be in the lead and Stefan Roshan will be in second place. So coming into the bus stop for the final time, Stefan Roshan should still be in second in the lead, which means that he should cross the line in first, unless we see a repeat of what we saw in race number 1 and 2 13 weeks ago in season number 6 for round number 1 of the 60 Plus Racing Adventures here from Spa, and we see last minute lunges into the bus stop.
Yeah, so it really is going to come down to the wire this. I suggest you stick with us on RaceSpotTV until the very end, because no one really knows what is going to happen. Stephen Cartner chasing down Stefan Roshan. The gap getting no bigger and no smaller at the moment, but we know that's all going to change as they come towards Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane, because that draft is so strong here. And as we say that, Stephen Cartner is starting to build up the power towards the bus stop chicane. Bill Lawrence a little bit further back, looks like, but he is going to be coming under pressure from John Morgan at the moment as they come towards the back, and then John Unsby is a little bit too far behind as well. Okay, so Bill Lawrence and John Morgan, there is another great battle there, and who's going to get that final place on the podium, Jack?
I am not sure, and in fact we're going to do a quick rundown of your field with 2 laps remaining. Make sure we don't just concentrate on the leaders. Currently battle going on for P number 3 and 4, Bill Lawrence and John Morgan. Those guys have been going at it all race. Bill Lawrence currently holding 3rd position. John Morgan hasn't been able to find a way past. There is also a battle for 5th going on. That's between John Unsby, Andrew Fiddler and Remigo de Pasqua. That is for position number 5. That is a battle that we need to keep an eye on, Tom, because those drivers all like racing closely. Mark Robertson currently still in 8th. Bruce Paul in 9th. Mike Taylor in 10th. Franz Brink, he is down onto the lane. Something's happened to him, in fact. He's dropping down positions, and everyone else behind him. Not really too many battles going on a bit further down your field, Tom. Most of it's happening, most of the action within the top 10. I'm going to go and find out what happened to Franz Brink, in fact.
Okay, so also looking down there, Jos van der Ven, he'll be absolutely kicking himself for that start, but he hasn't done too badly, Jack. He was right at the back at the start, and he's managed to make his way back up to 16th, so it's not a points position, but he can be happy with that. But Stefan Roshan hasn't actually got the move done on Stephen Cartner down the Kemmel Straight. So Stephen Cartner still leads at the moment of this 17-lap race at Spa-Francorchamps. Coming up to the bus stop, I think Stephen Roshan is going to make the absolute lunge for it. As you look a little bit further down, Bill Lawrence and John Morgan, I think John Morgan's going to try and do the same, Jack, into the bus stop.
Biggest mover and shaker in your race so far with 2 laps remaining is Richard Valley in 12th position. He is within a second of Gianni Ricciardo ahead in 11th. He might be able to get his way past. We will have to wait and see. He still has 2 laps to do that move. But as you said, Tom, Stephen Cartner is still leading this race. And if I predict rightly, that gives Stephen Roshan the advantage, because next time around, white flag will fly.
Yeah, it will fly, won't it? Remigo de Pasqua looks to be out of the race. If we can get a replay of that up on the screens, we'll get Jack to report on that in a second. As we come up towards Blanchimont now, and it looks like Stefan Roshan might just be a little bit too far back, Jack, to make that move possible.
Looking at Remigo de Pasqua, it looks as though he just disappeared, having a few technical issues in the number 4 machine by the looks of all things. He went into Eau Rouge, and, well, he never exited Eau Rouge, I'll put it that way. So, obviously, having a bit of an incident somewhere. Not that we'd be able to show it to you, because I cannot find it for you. So, Remigo de Pasqua, sorry. His day is done. Looking up to the front of your field, Stephen Roshan is going to round the source for the second to last time going to come down the hill, across that white line just slightly. You don't want to cross it too much because that wall on the inside will bite. Crossing the line, white flag is going to fly. One more lap to go here at Spa. Through Rouge for the final time. Watch Stephen Cartner in the 75. You already see he's got a much better run. I think the move may have been too early there, Tom, because he's already got the move done. We haven't even got onto the Kemmel straight properly. That means that Stephen Roastgen actually now has a draft and can get back past.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what's actually going to happen here as Stefan Roastgen looks up the inside, coming into Le Com now, although he breaks a little bit early and gives Stephen Cartner that position. I thought we were going to have a bit of a Max Verstappen on the go there and maybe a little bit of a collision, but no, Stefan Roastgen then needs to bide his time on this final lap of the race to see what he can do. He's going to be thinking to himself, now the bus stop is probably going to be his last opportunity to do it. He can maybe do it at Pouhon, but that is a massive risk, Jack, to take a position through there.
John Morgan, last lap dive into Le Com. He's managed to get past Bill Lawrence for third position, and in the process he had a four-wheel slide going on. You cannot get any better than that, Tom. And he held it, and he held position in the process. And Bill Lawrence has been demoted down to fourth, and Stephen Roastgen down to second. Now don't forget, these guys still have got an opportunity up into Blanchimont, up into the bus stop, a long drafting section ahead, but it's all about how well Bill or John Morgan and Stephen Cartner are going to defend and who is going to come off on top. We're going to stick with your lead battle for now as they come through Port Frere for the final time. Up to the run-up to Blanchimont, turn number 16. After that point, you have the bus stop chicane and La Source, and then the run down. Stephen Cartner, look at that, he's weaving left and right, here and there, under the DHL banner for the final time. And Stephen Roastgen not close enough to make a move there, Tom.
No, he's not, but he's going to be biding his time coming into the bus stop, isn't he, as he goes right up behind the gearbox. So this is it then for the win. Can Stefan Roastgen make this stick? He goes very, very late on the brakes, looks across to the inside. Stephen Cartner, there's nothing he can really answer for there. If he gets a decent enough run, looks like Stefan Roastgen got it. But Stephen Cartner, he's coming back up on the inside as they come towards La Source now. He's coming up on the inside. If he can make this move stick, they go very late on the brakes, the pair of them. They're on a bike, they'd be sticking their leg out now. And Stefan Roastgen goes out really, really wide, and it is absolutely neck and neck all the way to the finish. But it looks like Stefan Roastgen has got it by just a car's length. And what a fantastic finish that was, Jack.
Stefan Roastgen wins race number 2 from Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and wow, what a finish that was. Bill Lawrence managed to get his way past John Morgan in the dying stages as well while all that was going on. He's promoted himself up into third position. But Tom, Stephen Roastgen, I think for this race, he is my driver of the day. You cannot get any better than that. The gap, 400th, 9,000th of a second.
That's insane, isn't it? And hats off to Stefan Roastgen. I think he's my driver of the day as well. Didn't have the best race, one after a few incidents, but really, really capitalised in race 2 and really, really fought hard. So brilliant work from him there.
And as well, the last few drivers coming down onto finishing at race number 2, we will be able to take you through your RaceSpotTV finishing positions. Stephen Roastgen with the last lap lunge and the photo finish takes race number 2 here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps of round 1 of season 7 of the 60 Plus Racing Adventures. Stephen Cartner is going to finish off in second. Bill Lawrence is going to be rounding out your podium in third. Fourth is going to go to John Morgan, 5th to Andrew Fiddler, 6th to John Unsby, 7th to Mark Robertson, 8th to Bruce Paul, 9th to Mike Taylor, and 10th is going to be Gianni Raspaldo.
Richard Valiant, the number 69 machine, 27th to 11th, so a great drive from him there, as well as David Riley, who went 24th to 12th, and Michael Key went 26th to 13th, so a good drive from him. Jos van der Ven, technical issues at the start, unfortunate for him, but he's down in 14th. Bob Kern in 15th, Florison in 16th, Joel Martin in 17th, Richard Klum, he would have wanted a better race than that, 21st to 18th, so unfortunate for him. Mark Gleisen started 19th and finished 19th, and the same for Ralph Cameron, who rounds out your top 20.
Your non-finishers today are going to be Ramigo de Pasco, Franz Brink, Paolo Bondasera, Kenneth Dummer, Kenneth Baldwin, Paul Hamilton and Fred McIntosh. And well, Tom, you are stood by with the second place finisher, Stephen Cartner.
A great drive from you there, Steve. Absolutely fantastic work. You pushed really, really hard, but Stefan Roastgen just got you at the end for possibly one of the best finishes we've ever seen in this series.
Yeah, it was really close race. He's a fantastic driver, and he came around me on the last corner and took me there. I don't know how he did that.
yeah, it's a really, really brilliant work from you and an exceptionally close race. You'll be looking forward to race 2. We've got to be a bit quick with interviews here on RaceSpotTV. So before we let you go, brilliant drive from you. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank following that second place?
Thank my wife, my son Ryan, my daughter Lindsay. They let me play with this game and have fun. Thanks, guys.
Brilliant work, Steve. Thank you very much.
And well, Tom, you are also stood by with our winner today, Stephen Roshan.
Stefan, a great drive from you. You picked it right at the finish coming out of La Source. That must have been an absolute thrill ride for you. So what was going through your mind as you came out of La Source for the final time there?
Well, bus stops, and then I knew that this one would be different perhaps before. And then we side by side out of the bus stop, and so I knew he was inside, so I go very far in the outside and got for me.
Fantastic work from you there. It was brilliant for the spectators and us up in the commentary box here at RaceSpotTV. So before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thank you to RaceSpotTV for the shows, and
well, it looks like a few technical issues for your winner today, Stephen Roshan. And well, I'm quickly joined by Bill Lawrence. Bill, third position, obviously, it's making up for race 1, surely.
Yeah, definitely. I had a couple of faux pas in race 1. I sat back in 5th and thought I'd wait, but didn't turn out very good.
Well, obviously, looking forward to the rest of the season. Just very quickly, I want your favourite track you're looking forward to.
Oh, I don't have any favorites. I just enjoy every week, and this was good. John Morgan and I had a real battle. He was setting me up. I thought he had me there.
Well, very quickly, before we go and let you celebrate your podium with your team, who would you like to give a shout out to today?
All the guys at 60 Plus Racing. Everyone here makes it a great adventure.
There is your third place finisher, Bill Lawrence, from today. And well, Tom, I want you to sum up today's action in one word.
Brilliant. There you go. Absolutely brilliant. Best racing we've seen for a very long time.
Must say it's a very long one word, and unfortunately that is all we have time for here today on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. But before we go, let's give a very quick shout out to everyone who gets this done. Our track cameras are provided by trackcams22.com and Istvan Balau. Your overlay design is by Andre Antwerp Design, and your animations from appengineer.com. And live timing, as always, over on RaceSpotTV/live, provided by Nick Thisson. He has been Dom Jacobs. Hugo Luis has been behind the cameras. I have been Jack Stiles. And well, enjoy Le Mans and the 24 hours of action that comes up. And we will see you in 6 weeks' time as we fly across the pond to Watkins Glen. Good night.